Welcome to Mindvalley's Social Media Summit. We are here live in Dubai, and this is the first time that Mindvalley has done a partnership with 1 Billion Followers Summit, and it is absolutely incredible. For those of you that are here live right now, you see we're standing in the Museum of the Future, and for the 100,000 people that have signed up to join us online, we want to say welcome to you. Everybody, can we give them a big welcome? We're so happy you're here. My name is Caitlin O'Toole, and I will be your host all weekend long, and I'm so excited to be here and to learn with you. I feel like it's so incredible that we're standing in this Museum of the Future, because the future, I feel like in many ways we're living in it right here, right now. And that's why talking about social media is so important. Every single one of you, half of you are on your phones right now, and that's okay, tag us. But really, truly, this is how we interact. This is how we communicate. This is how we share. This is how we impact. And it's 2026. Happy New Year, guys. But here's the thing. What worked last year, the playbook, the algorithms, they're not going to work this year. And we're already seeing that. This is the largest content creator summit in the world. And we're talking about it. And that's why Mindvalley has put together the best experts all across each and every social media field. Why? I don't know about you guys, but sometimes it's hard to keep up with everything. You know, sometimes it feels a little overwhelming. We're trying to use this AI tool and trying to figure out the algorithm, and just when you think you figured it out, it changes. You know what I'm talking about? It changes on you. So what we want is to put together for all of you what's working from people that are doing it, people that have gotten billions of views, right? Experts that are making millions of dollars without even a ton of followers. And we want you to really think about impact. What is it that you're here to create? What is it that your soul came to do? You know, so many of us are here because we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to expand. How many of you are an entrepreneur? You want to grow your business. You know, nowadays, whether you are an entrepreneur and have a business, it doesn't matter. The first thing we do is we check social media. We want to see your presence. We want to understand who you are, if we like you, if we want to be friends, if we want to work with you. Each and every single one of you is a walking brand. And that's why showing up and being visible is so important. And if you're sitting here thinking like, I don't want to be a slave to the system and keep posting, you know, how many times do we have to do it? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? I'm competing against all of these things. But I want you to remember this too. Social media is how we build relationships. It's how we interact. It's how we communicate, how we impact with one another. You know, I think every single one of you can think of somebody right now. You maybe don't even know them in real life, but you watch them, and they impact your life, and they make a difference. And the words that they say, and the way they show up, and the courage that they have to be seen changes your life. You know, I used to watch Joe Dispenza for years, and then I got to meet him, and I was like, oh my God, you changed my life. I met somebody in Dubai that I just knew on social media, and I'm like, we're friends in real life, but that's the world we live in. And so I share that with you because I want you to know that each and every single one of you has the ability to make an impact. Each and every single one of you is an expert in something, right? In your field, your personality, the way you view the world. But in order for you to make an impact in somebody else's life, you've got to be in the playing field. You've got to be online. You've got to know how to post, when to post. You've got to be able to find your authentic voice. And on top of that, if you want to, you can monetize it, right? John Lee will be here later this weekend teaching us how to make money off of it. We live in such a cool world. We are in the future where we can show up, where we can be ourselves, where we can share, where we can be in Dubai and be teaching people while we're here, by making money while you're here. And so it's so important for us to be able to teach you that, to share with you. And that's why we've brought some of the top people in the world here for that. So I want to thank all of you for showing up, everybody online for choosing you. We're just a couple days into this new year, and I'm telling you, being here this weekend, learning this, taking notes, applying it, this can change your life. And that's what it's all about, is giving you the tools and the information that can really make a difference. And so to kick off this summit, we're going to start with somebody that maybe, how many of you guys are sitting on an idea right now? You're like, I've just got an idea. I don't know how to get, yeah, we're all dreamers. I love it. We're all imagining. But here's the thing. At some point, you've got to be able to take that idea and you've got to take it into action. You've got to be able to share that so people know it exists, so people can invest in you, so people can support you, can grow with you. And that's why, the first speaker that we're going to have today is such a role model to me, because every time I hear a story of just having an idea and then executing it, you can see the impact that you can make in this world. He's the CEO and founder of Mindvalley, and he has done just that, taken an idea that is now helping people in 195 countries, 20 million students. Can you imagine if you start now the kind of impact you can have in this life? The people you can help, the lives you can change, of course, the money you can make, all of it. And this is proof that it is possible. And most people, they'd have that kind of success, and maybe they would just stop there, right? Like, whew, check, nailed that one. Now I'm going on to the next thing. But what I love about him is that he doesn't stop there. He's always on the cutting edge. He's changing the way we think of personal development. He's changing the way we think of consciousness. He's changing the way we think of interacting and communicating and learning, right? He's here putting this whole event on for us so that we can learn about social media, because he truly believes that each and every single one of you has the potential to make a difference in this world. So, to kick this off, I want all of you guys to please help me give a warm welcome to an incredible soul, and the reason we're all here, the CEO and founder of Mindvalley, Vishen. Baby!
Thank you, Caitlin.
Yes. Thank you, V. We love you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And to the 100, sorry, there's a video playing behind me. And to the 125,000 people who signed up online to watch this particular stage on Zoom, thank you. I know you have a family, you have busy weekend plans, so we're really honored and appreciative of you guys on Zoom who are joining us. Now, I also really want to give my heartfelt appreciation to Dubai, the city of Dubai, the government of the UAE, and One BFS, because this would not be possible without them. This is a dream for many of the speakers who are on the Mindvalley stage, to be here in one of the most iconic buildings in the world, the Museum of the Future, to share this event with you. Mindvalley Social Media Summit has actually been going on for 3 years. And for last year, we actually beamed it from Dubai. We beamed it live to hundreds of thousands of people from the AWA property in Dubai. And if you don't know AWA, it's a beautiful building that's being developed here. And this year, what we were really excited about is that we got to collaborate with One BFS. And, One BFS attracts 30,000 people. For those of you from the Mindvalley community, the 100,000 of you watching, I just want to put this idea in your head. I know, obviously, since you're on Zoom, you couldn't be here in Dubai right now, and it might be too late to get a plane ticket, but look up this event. And next year, if you get a chance, please attend. I've attended 3 years in a row. I've met many incredible friends through this event, developed many ideas, and I wish more countries and cities did this. Because look, if you want to get your ideas of nation building, your ideas of a city out to the world, the best thing to do is to get social media influencers into your country. I live in London and Estonia and Malaysia. I wish my other cities that I live in did something like this. But no other city I know is at the same level of cutting-edgeness as Dubai. So thank you to the government of Dubai and to One BFS for this beautiful opportunity. Without them, I would not be here, we would not be here. Thank you, guys. So those of you in the chat, I want you to just put in the live chat where you're from. Type in hello from Serbia or hello from London. And just check out the chatter. I'm looking at it on my screen as well. And you will notice the sheer diversity of the audience that's here. Hello, Kenya, Malaysia, Adelaide, India, Vietnam. We're delighted to have all of you. Now, my message for you today is this. It's basically that there are two types of people who go on social media. There's the people who really desperately care about the clicks and the likes and the numbers. And listen, I like numbers too, just ask my accountant. But there's a second type of person who goes on social media. The second type of person who goes on social media is someone who deeply cares about getting an idea out. And that idea may be a new way of raising a kid. That idea may be speaking out against a policy or a law that you feel is not in the best interest of your city or country. The idea may be speaking up for a product that you believe in or speaking against a product that you believe is harming the world. We're talking to boat people. And I want you to put in the chat which type you think you are. Are you mainly type 1? That means it's about the fame, it's about the number, and hey, there is nothing wrong with it. I love money too. Or are you type 2, where it's about the impact, the purpose, the mission, the soul, or connection? Let's look at the chat. Okay, now what I'm seeing is of the thousands of people live with us right now, the majority are putting type 2. And there's about 3 people who put in type 1, and congratulations to those 3 people. You are very brave. But in this presentation, I'm speaking to type 2, because type 2 is 90% of what I'm seeing on that chat. And we know type 2 is 90% because we did a survey before I got on stage, and we had close to 10,000 people reply. And on that survey, we learned a couple of things about you. Firstly, we learned that you are weird. Like, you guys are weirdos. You're interested in stuff that 20 years ago, people would have said you should join a cult. You're interested in yoga, in sound healing, in breath work, in TM. You're interested in the future of humanity, conscious parenting, all of these weird things that would make your grandparents frown. And so, congratulations. We're all weird together. Now, the beauty about social media is that for the first time, weird ideas can actually get out there. Some weird ideas can be harmful, but many of them are worth noticing. I started my career 22 years ago taking a weird idea, meditation, and helping spread it to people. Social media didn't exist, so I used email autoresponders, but the principle and the thinking was same. Because of where we are right now, we've entered a new era. Naval Ravikant, who's a famous author, Silicon Valley guy, super smart intellectual, said this: code and media are permissionless leverage. And what he meant by this is, if you're an entrepreneur, the 2 most important things you need to learn: coding, which, by the way, as of this month, because of Claude Code and tools like Cursor, every single one of you can be a programmer. So what AI did to copywriting 2 years ago, when every single one of you could write beautiful copy, every single one of you can now build apps. Okay? Permissionless leverage, which means the cost of starting a business has gotten really, really, really tiny. But the second thing, media. 20 years ago, if you had a great idea, you had to hire a PR company to get on television. Today, you got to figure out a way to make a video go viral. And it's not as hard as you think. So these 2 things give you an incredible amount of leverage, and thus it is easier than ever to be an entrepreneur. Now, I want you to understand a big change that's going to happen in 2026. The cost of starting a company and the complexity of starting a company is going to go down by a factor of 50. I know this because I own multiple companies and I employ 230 people. And in the last 1 month, and one of the things I do at my company is I make everybody get trained in AI. And so much work is being eliminated that this year I've decided that I'm going to take a week off every month to just experience life and study something new. So I'm going to go take a class in salsa. I'm going to go try to learn Spanish. I'm going to take a class in stand-up comedy. I just want to learn something new because what I'm able to do in 1 hour right now, 5 years ago, 50 hours of work, now in 1 hour. And every single one of you watching has this advantage. Okay, so the cost of building any product is going to go down. And thus, most entrepreneurs are going to have multiple streams of income. You're not going to build one company. Once you figure it out, you're probably going to have multiple companies. But this creates a problem. And the problem is, how do you get people to notice? So I was talking to my friend Daniel Priestley. And if you don't know Daniel Priestley, he is the #1 featured guest on Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO. really deep guy. Like when you sit next to Daniel, you feel wisdom oozing from his body. And Daniel Priestley has taken 7 companies and scaled them to 100 million. And he said, Vishen, in today's world, if you are starting companies, create social media, not for your company, but for yourself as a founder. People don't follow businesses anymore. People follow people. What this means is, if you're an entrepreneur, it's essential that you start connecting with your audience, your market, your fans, people who share your vision. Focus on your social media. Direct those eyeballs to all of your creations, whether it's a piece of code, whether it's a book or a blog or an activism campaign. If you learn to do this, you have insane power at your fingertips. So the change that's going to happen in 2026 is this, because starting and running companies is going to be improved and 50x more efficient. The skill that you want to learn is how to direct the audience to all of your creations. One of the things I do is I write books. I have 3 American bestsellers. I calculate the amount of time it takes me to write a book. It's about 500 hours. Now, this was for my first book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, which was published in 2016. 500 hours. It was several years. Today, because of leverage, the book takes 50 hours. So I'm seeing this, and other authors are seeing it. And it's not because we're getting ChatGPT to write the book. It's because code, social media, where you can survey your audience, you can help test ideas, all of this becomes faster. So the most important thing for me as an author, for you as a coach, for you as the yoga teacher, for you as the app builder is build an audience, share your insights, so you can direct them to all of these creations, because you are no longer going to have one book, and you're no longer going to have one company. We're entering the age of creation, but attention is what we need to navigate. Now, here's the problem. The problem is this. The very people who should be on social media are not on social media. And I know this because I'm one of those people. Until 2017, I basically did not want to be on social media. So the entrepreneurs who should be talking about the hot idea, the author or the psychologist with these incredible insights on human lives, they're precisely the ones who are not speaking out. The people who are speaking out, often, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, are people who are sometimes just seeking fame or attention or the numbers. And the reason for this dichotomy is a concept I call the visibility wound. And I bet the vast majority of you in this room have it. You may be on social media, but there's a part of you that questions if you have a right to get that video out or that message out. The visibility wound, you see, is an unconscious belief that says being seen is dangerous. And it's not irrational, it's real. And it's an unconscious belief that was implanted in you because of something that happened in your childhood. Now, why do we know this exists? Because you told us. When we surveyed you, the 125,000 of you who signed up online for the summit, these are some of the things that you put in the survey. When we asked you, why aren't you sharing your idea? Why aren't you talking about your book? Why aren't you speaking to your audience? I'm scared to be public. Fear of trolls and hate. I'm an introvert. What if people judge me? It feels inauthentic. I hate social media, but I need it. These are all actual comments, okay? And it was overwhelming. Like, how many of you actually suffer from it? So the question is, where does this fear of being seen come from? All right, so I'm going to share with you one of my early social media videos. We're going to go back 10 years, and I'm going to show you the visibility wound, vulnerably, and what was going on inside my soul. I don't want you to pay attention to what I say in this video. I want you to watch my body language, okay? The awkwardness. I want you to watch for the following things. I keep looking down, all right? I want you to watch for that. At a certain point, I just take the camera away from the camera person and I hold it so I don't have to be in the camera. But most importantly, I want you to watch whom I'm talking to. See, what's going on here is I was visiting Silicon Valley. I had an investor meeting, and I happened to pass by the place that is Steve Jobs' house. That's Steve Jobs' house behind me. I thought, wow, this is so cool. I want to share this. But I was afraid to be judged. So rather than share it on my Facebook to the world, I shared it to my son, and I posted that on Facebook. So I start this video with my son's name, Hey Hayden. Why did I say that? Because if anybody added a nasty comment, I could say, well, this wasn't for you, this was for my son. So check out the awkwardness of this video, okay? And you will see the visibility wound in action, and if you can relate, know that you're not alone. Can we play the video, please? Hey, Hayden, check it out. I wanted to show you something. So I was in a meeting nearby, and right here, this is Steve Jobs' house. Of course, you know Steve. He invented the iPhone, the iPod, the Mac, pretty much all that stuff you play your games on. So I thought I'd just show you a quick video of what this house looks like. You can see it's really beautiful. It looks like something from a fairy tale. A lot of people come here, and when Steve Jobs died, people left flowers here for him because he had such a big impact on the rest of the world. What made Steve really special was that he had incredible taste in design and art. So everything he made, his software, the iPad, the iPhone, Apple TV, everything from Apple just looks so beautiful. But I just thought you'd enjoy seeing this. And the taste extends to flowers and plants and just a beautiful backyard. It looks very much like a fairy tale, doesn't it? All right, miss you, Hayden. See you soon. Bye. Did you notice? First social media video. Okay, this was maybe 2015 or so. I start with, Hey Hayden. I'm shielding myself. Like, why couldn't I just go on Facebook and say, hey guys, check this out, Steve Jobs' house, pretty cool, huh? Look at the flowers, he's awesome. I was afraid. I was afraid of the comments. By the way, 6 people commented on that video. It's been 10 years, 6 people. And it was all decently good comments, but I was so afraid of someone saying, aren't you trespassing on Steve Jobs' lawn? Technically, I was. I was afraid of someone saying, well, you don't know how to use the camera, or someone saying, you know, I hate Apple, I'm a Samsung user. And honestly, my son was 8 years old. He honestly didn't give a damn. Even my son, to this day, has not watched that video. But I protected myself. That's the visibility wound. So where does it come from? Cultural programming. All right, now, to understand the visibility wound, you got to understand where it's coming from. Now, firstly, how many of you can relate to that video and that fear? Raise your hand or put a yes in the chat. At the beginning, yes, yes. Okay, so in the chat, almost everyone is saying yes. The people here in Dubai, maybe only about 10 of them are holding up their hand, but that's because these are Dubai people, okay? Dubai is all about show. Dubai is all about, look at me. Now, where does the visibility wound come from? Childhood experiences. Childhood experiences that tell you it is not safe to be seen. All right, so I grew up in Malaysia, so I am Malaysian. And when I went to school in Malaysia, I'm part of a very small ethnicity in Malaysia. So my ethnicity is Sindhi. So Sindhis are from the western part of India, close to Iran. And there are very few people in Malaysia who look like me. Most people in Malaysia are East Asian, okay? So when I went to school, most of my friends were Chinese. And I looked very different, and I stood out. So I got bullied because I stood out. Now, one of the names that I was called as a kid was Hook-Nosed Gorilla Boy. Now, let me tell you where the name Hook-Nosed Gorilla Boy came from. Firstly, I have a big nose relative to East Asian people. Secondly, I have hair on my arms. And East Asian people, God bless them, China's going to rule the world, but their skin is like dolphin skin. They have no hair. So all the hairy people in the room say, hey. Right? See, I see all the Indians and the Pakistanis and the Arabs and the Caucasians, right? But in East Asia, you don't have hair. And I see some of the Asian people right now just feeling themselves going, yes, I am very smooth. Okay, so when I went to school, that was my name, Hook-Nosed Gorilla Boy, and I was constantly bullied. And like the other kids in my school, the other Malaysian kids, the real-looking Malaysian kids, would tell me, hey, hook-nosed gorilla boy, you want a banana? Come get your banana. And then I was a nerd, so I would explain, well, technically, gorillas don't eat bananas. They flourish on fruits and nuts. And then I would get smacked at the back of my head. Shut up, hook-nose. So I eventually developed this fear of being seen. By the way, just for the record, I do not have hairy legs. It's not like I wake up in the morning and I have to blow dry my hair, put some wax and pomade, comb my legs. It's not that. I'm going to show you. Because, see, it's decent, it's moderately hairy, right? For anyone in Europe or the Middle East or India, it's okay. I'm just normal. But in East Asia, I stood out. By the way, when I came to Dubai, I finally felt like I was with people who had an equal amount of body hair. So men of Dubai, thank you for making me feel at home. Like here in Dubai, you guys love your hair. I don't know how you survive in the summer, because it makes you extra hot. But I walk into like clubs here, the shirt is open, the hair is popping out. You stick the hair out as you walk. Feels so comforting. But growing up, hook-nosed gorilla boy. So this creates this fear of actually being seen. Childhood experiences. Now the second thing is cultural conditioning. This is very common in many cultures. In Australia, it's called tall poppy syndrome. In Japan, there's a saying, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. In Scandinavia, there's a word, I believe it's called janteloven, and it means don't be flashy. When you're on social media, you're going against your own cultural conditioning. Now, a lot of these cultural conditionings existed in a time when social media did not exist. It existed in a time where one was meant to be silent, while the super wealthy, the authority, the kings, the monarchs, they got the limelight. That's not really the world we live in right now. Now, the third reason is past failures. Maybe you put up a video and nobody noticed. Maybe you wrote a book and even your mom didn't read it. The fourth is imposter syndrome. Boy, this is an interesting one. So in a study of women, 54% of women suffer from imposter syndrome. 54%, the majority of women feel, and I see some of you raising your hands, how did I earn this? Why do I earn this? I'm not meant to be here. It's cultural programming. It's the way we've designed a workforce that was primarily, and company culture that was primarily a relic from the US military-industrial complex post-World War II, which was designed for mainly males. By the way, can you guess the percentage of men who study from imposter syndrome? 25%. 25%. So men still have it, but men tend to be more overconfident, stupidly confident. So 70% of men say that they drive better than average, 70% of men. And 55% of men answered yes to the following question. If you're in a plane and both pilots pass out, can you safely land the plane? 55% of men said, yeah, I bet I could do that. This is why I really think more women should be elected into power. So, and the final one, number 5, is fear of success. Okay? Fear of success. This means what happens when I actually get there. By the way, one of the other things that I write about and I speak about, and Mindvalley is big on, is manifesting. Manifesting isn't woo-woo anymore. It's now science meets soul. And you know what is one of the biggest blocks to people hitting their goal? Whether the goal is to be a CEO, to grow a company, to get a book out, one of the biggest blocks is what happens to me if I do get the goal? It is the fear of success. It is the fear of who do I have to be? What will my life look like if I became that person? And that trips up manifesting. If you want to be a CEO, but you're afraid of Asana and Google Calendar and leading people, ain't going to happen. Fear of success is one of the reasons why we actually self-sabotage. So these 5 things are what cause a visibility wound. But let's talk about how it actually shows up in your life. Okay, because this is where it matters practically. So I want you to observe these behaviors and ask yourself, is this me? And by the way, at this point, I want you to know, we're not just talking about social media. We're talking about everything involving showing up. You speaking out at a board meeting. You showing up on a date. You doing an interview or appearing on a podcast. It's all the same thing. Is there a part of you that is causing you to hide, to shrink, to stay in the shadows when you really should be in the light, transmitting your light? This is what it looks like. First, perfectionism. It means you are waiting for your text to be perfect before you hit publish. You have to go get a whole hair makeover before you record that selfie. You're building code, but you're afraid to deploy in case there's one tiny bug. You want to teach a course, but you need to get every single thing laid out. That's not the way real builders build. Real builders build through feedback. You start sucky. You start small. You start basic. You're not getting just the product out. You're creating a learning loop. So you start sucky, you learn, you improve. That's how real builders build. If I showed you my early writings, my early products, they would be sucky compared to now. If you're not embarrassed by your version 1, you're acting too slow. How many of you here can relate to perfectionism? Almost everyone in this room. Next, hiding behind strategy, overthinking. See this all the time in teams I lead. Rather than act, you plan and plan and plan. It is paralysis by analysis. You fail to act because you're afraid that things might go wrong. Turns out this is a really awful strategy. Anyone heard of the classic book, Think and Grow Rich? So Napoleon Hill wrote that book 100 years ago. And he said, you want to do anything? And he was speaking here on the art of getting rich. He said, don't overplan. Take baby steps. Every baby step gives you information. The information is turn left, turn right, adjust. Take baby steps. And as you line up these baby steps with information, what happens is you move towards your goal. You do not move towards your goal with a business plan that is perfect, because the world is so unpredictable. Life is unpredictable. You take baby steps and learn. So if you're hiding behind strategy, what you may want to consider is, can I refine my strategy by acting, adjusting, learning, and creating a feedback loop? And understanding that it is okay to fail. Now, this is also a cultural thing. I was talking to the writer Salim Ismail. He wrote a book called Exponential Organizations. Beautiful book on scaling organizations. And Salim was invited by the Malaysian government to come to Malaysia to speak to entrepreneurs. And they asked him, what do we do to create more entrepreneurs in Malaysia? And Salim Ismail said, the problem is the Asian culture here, which says that if you fail, you're done. So he said, what I suggest you do, create FailureCon, a conference where entrepreneurs come on stage and they talk about their biggest failure. And the person who took the most risk and flamed out most wins a prize. Reinvent the story of failure. So what if you did this for yourself in social media? You did not just celebrate your wins, but you celebrated your failures. In your Google Sheet or whatever you use to log, you don't just log your best videos, you celebrate every dumb mistake you made and what you learned from it. Don't hide behind strategy. Now 3, comparison paralysis. We all do this. We say, there's no way I can start this podcast. I mean, look at how far Stephen Bartlett has come. There's no way I can create this video because my competition is already ahead. everyone who starts had someone that inspired them who was way ahead. Stephen Bartlett spoke at this event and spoke at Mindvalley's event this past year. And he shared the story where in 2017, when he started out his podcast, he was basically in a tiny studio. Maybe he said 12 people listened to it. He had a sock over his mic. Everybody starts sucky. So rather than comparison paralysis, turn the inspiration that you're looking at, rather than look at them and feel you can never be like them and develop that feeling of jealousy, turn it into inspiration. What can you modify? What can you adjust? What can you tweak in your own way? The next one is inconsistency. This means you go on a streak, you create the videos, you put it up. At the end of 1 month, you don't get exactly the result you want, so you give up and you stop. Inconsistency. Thing about the algorithm is it rewards consistency. So you got to be consistent. You got to keep building. You got to keep creating. You can't let 1 month of bad results hurt your ego. And it is about ego. So if you are pushing it and then you stop, it's because your ego is speaking. And honestly, that consistency is what's going to get you to the top. I mean, read the biographies of any great entrepreneur. And the thing they tell you is that even when failure hit, they did not stop. Is inconsistency a problem you have? Raise your hand. And this is very real. It's a problem for me now as well. 5, you secretly create for nobody. What this means is that you are deliberately creating videos that are, you know the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears? There's the hot porridge and then the cold porridge. In social media, you want to be hot or you want to be cold, right? You want to be on the edges, but you're creating videos that people are apathetic to. There's a great principle in marketing. And this great principle in marketing that I've learned says this. In marketing, you either want people to love you or you want people to hate you. But you never want people to be in between and apathetic. Are you creating for apathy? Are you creating because you're afraid that, yeah, you might get some love, but you might also get some hate? Well, let the haters hate. Are you creating for nobody? Because if you're in the middle, you're creating for nobody. But here's the paradox. While all of you may have some visibility wound, and you may have some of the ingredients of this wound, what is really going on is this. Your visibility wound is actually your superpower. Let me explain. It's your superpower because it makes you so much less annoying. You're not just hammering away at social media. Look at me. Look at me. You're actually conscious about what you put out. You care that it makes a difference. You care that it impacts the world. You care that you're telling a good story. You care. You have standards. You're good people. The world needs more of you. You're not like Donald Trump, 200 tweets in a day with English that is barely classified as English. You care. The problem with social media is that the people with no visibility wound, with no self-awareness, post and post and post and post and post, and dumb ideas get out frequently. You guys have good ideas. You're the people who need to be posting. So your visibility wound is actually your superpower. And I want you to flip the script on it. It is not a curse. It is not going to make you suffer. It's not going to hold you back. It's your edge. It's what makes you unique. It's what means that your ideas are the ones that matter. So how do you work with your visibility wound? There are 3 steps. First, know that your visibility wound is not a bug. It's a feature. Embrace it. So for those of you who are watching, who have a visibility wound, I want you to just close your eyes right now. And let's call that visibility wound VW. Just place your hand on your heart and say, VW, you're not a bug, you're a feature. Now, 3 steps. First one is name it. With your eyes closed, what is the name of your visibility wound? Give it a name. Mine is called Gorilla Boy. What is the name of that wound? I'm not special. Be safe. Think about the childhood experience you had that may have caused you to develop that wound. And the wound is nothing more than your inner child at that age trying to keep you safe. My social media wound, my Hey Hayden video, came from an inner child saying, don't stand out. They'll bully you. They'll call you names. And you can see how irrational that is. And that inner child is speaking to you at the age in which the wound developed. Mine developed at the age of 10. It was 10-year-old logic, where when I was 40 years old, I still couldn't get on social media. What is the age of your visibility wound? So if you know the age in which you develop this don't stand out thing, that's the age of your visibility wound. Name it. And now what I want you to do is separate the past from the present. Understand that it's a childlike understanding of the world. It is your inner child at that age trying to keep you safe. I want you to close your eyes and just talk to that inner child right now and say, hey, speak to it with love. This is the key thing to healing subconscious blocks. You don't command it to go away. You love it into going away. Speak to that inner block with love and say, hey, I get you. I hear you. You were trying to keep me safe. That was your job. I love you for that. It's been decades. But I'm good now. I'm okay. You've done your job. I still want you there, a little bit, because you keep me modest. You keep me sincere. You keep me humble. And I appreciate you for that. You keep me grounded. But you will not keep me from the light any longer, because I'm ready for that light. I want to give you a moment to just have that dialogue with that inner child. Sometimes it helps to sense your body. Where do you feel that wound is? Give it a tangible location, a color. Imagine it in that body. You can place your hand on it, hold it up in front of you, and imagine as if you're talking to it. But speak with love. It is a part of your childhood. It is what made you you. And honestly, it's mostly good, because it made you grounded, real, kind, compassionate. The bullies didn't make me a bully. The bullies ensured that I was a compassionate person. Now, we come to step 3. And step 3 is this. Take micro, visible actions. What can you do to step out? The next time you go out, could you wear something just a tiny bit flashier? Maybe a different color. Maybe a different hairdo. Maybe something new you picked up from Dubai Mall. I'm giving you permission to go on a shopping spree. The next time you create a video, can you create it without worrying about how you look or the lighting or even the idea? It's just an experiment. You can even say, sending out this video, Vishen make me do it. Take some action, because when you do that, you are taking the baby step that Napoleon Hill spoke about. And by the way, Napoleon Hill said something really interesting. He said, the universe responds to your thoughts. The universe responds to your thoughts. But the universe also needs to know that you have intention. In other words, you're not just thinking, I want to get this idea out. You're actually going to take the baby steps. The universe doesn't like people who just sit in their butt. There's a funny joke I read about a guy who really wanted to get rich and really wanted to win the lottery. So he prayed 3 times a day to win the lottery. So in the morning, he would pray to God, God, please, you got to help me win the lottery. After lunch, he would have a ritual where he would pray again, God, you got to help me win the lottery. Before going to bed, he would pray, God, please, got to win the lottery. There's so much I could do with that money. He did this 3 times a day for 30 years. And then one day, he was crossing the street and he got hit by a bus. And he died, and he actually meets God. So he goes up to God and he goes, God, like what happened? I was so devoted. I prayed to you 3 times a day for 30 years. Please help me win the lottery. And you did nothing. And God goes, you could have at least bought a ticket. So what is that micro action you can take to step out of this visibility wound and tell yourself a different story? So you know how I got out my visibility wound? I got out by accident. Well, 2 things happened. One is I was interviewing Jay Shetty on stage at an event Mindvalley was doing in Sardinia. And Jay was like super polished. This was 2017. Jay was super polished, like he knew exactly what to say. If you watch the video of it, which is on YouTube, I'm wearing like a $19 H&M shirt, really baggy jeans, horrible shoes, and I had no style, nothing. I'm reading from an iPad, and I'm so awkward. Jay was around 10 years younger than me. And after that, I sat down with Jay, and he's a very kind man, and I asked him, Jay, you know, how do you do what you do? And he goes, Vishen, it's easy. You can do it too. And I go, Jay, I don't have your hair. Jay, I don't have your voice. Like, I don't know how to do this. And he said, Vishen, just start. Just start. It doesn't matter. You learn as you go on. I started somewhere too. And I too, he said, I too had those doubts. That week, I did my first Instagram post. Before that, I used Instagram as a gratitude log. So I only posted pictures of things I was grateful for. You know, morning cup of coffee, nice restaurant, playing with the kids. I started using Instagram in 2017 for the first time just to communicate. And for the first couple of months, nothing happened. But within 10 months, something really interesting happened. I was living in Malaysia back then. And I read an article in the New York Times about how Malaysia, my country, had become the fattest country in Asia. And it had become the fattest country in Asia, according to this expose by the New York Times, because Nestle, which is the biggest company in Malaysia, in the stock market, actually was funding the government nutrition society. So all the nutrition information going out to the public was approved by Nestle. And Nestle had this drink in Malaysia called Milo. Anyone here familiar with Milo? And Milo is marketed as a health drink to mothers. So growing up in Malaysia, I drank 2 glasses of Milo a day as a child. Okay, because everyone in Malaysia, Milo's a health drink. In schools, during sports days, they serve you Milo. But it turns out Milo is 40% sugar. 40%. Except they don't call it sugar. On the box it says maltodextrin. So I got annoyed, and I did a little Facebook video. I shared the New York Times article. I held up a can of Milo, and they sell it in these big cans. It's this big, and every Malaysian home had one. and it's 40% sugar, and this was being fed to Malaysian children. And I took a blue marker, and I colored 40% of the can blue, and I said, if you are feeding this to your child, you're giving your child sugar in the morning, sugar after they come home from school, sugar before they go to bed. Could this be why we in Malaysia are now officially the fattest country in Asia with 47% adult obesity? That video went viral. And the next thing you know, Nestle had people attacking me on Twitter. I was banned from all the Malaysian press because Nestle is the biggest advertiser in Malaysia. The local radio station, 1BFM, that was asking me to come on because I was one of the more popular entrepreneurs in my country. All of a sudden, I was not allowed on any radio station. But social media saved the day. In Asia, families have WhatsApp groups. And so when this video went out on Facebook, it started getting circulated in WhatsApp groups. It got between 50 to 100 million views, made the front page of Reddit, front page of 9gag. And the Malaysian government didn't do anything because Nestle pays. But in Australia and New Zealand, Nestle lost its health rankings for Milo. And I got to make a dent on government policy for health. Because at a certain point, I got out of my damn visibility wound, and I was able to speak my truth. What is it that you are going to change about the world when you step out? For me, it took anger. Anger at corruption and what was happening in my country because of this policy. What is it going to be for you? The world is waiting. So the truth is, your visibility can serve others. What is that thing that you stand for? What are you speaking out, speaking up for? What change do you want to see in the world? And let's face it, the world is pretty frickin' broken right now. And it's broken because a large chunk of it is broken because of social media influence, because of how social media is dividing us, because the wrong voices sometimes have the biggest microphones. But the good guys, we're sitting in the shadow, overanalyzing if we have a right to share what we want to share because we need to get everything correct and make sure we don't hurt anyone. What if we stop doing that? What if you speak up for the values that matter, for global unity, for peace, for the environment? What if you speak up for immigrants who are being pulled off the streets in America right now? What if you speak up against war? The problem with the world today is that you guys are stuck in the own BS in your head. And we need to change that. And I'm asking you to change that, not just for your book, but for your children's children. So speak up. Do we have a deal? I want you to understand this. You are ready to be seen. And what we want to do in the rest of this summit and here at this wider event is help you get the tools. So once you understand that the visibility wound is a gift, your job right now is to do your part to make a better world. So where do we go from here? Well, there are many amazing speakers who we're going to be bringing on stage here. And of course, in this wider event, there's Mr. Beast, Will Smith is speaking, so much incredible talent. For those of you on Zoom, you get free access to this stage. And I want to tell you some of the stuff we're going to be covering. Number one, everything is hackable. Virality is not a random act. There are formulas for virality. And Brendan Kane, the guy who wrote the textbook on social media, he and his team, Hookpoint, study all of these different formulas. They actually have like a consulting publication where they publish what works. Brendan Kane's going to be speaking about the formulas that work. His talk alone can change your goals, your results on social media. Then Marie Forleo is going to be speaking. And if you don't know Marie, she's one of the foremost marketing minds in the world. She's been doing this for 25 years. Her Marie Forleo B School is a 6-week program that teaches people to be entrepreneurs. And when she was at its peak in, I believe, 2010 to 2015, she would create all of this momentum online. People loved her. Then when she opened up her B School for enrollment, 20 million in revenue. I remember watching that in Malaysia and being in awe at how powerful this woman was at building fandom. So she's going to speak about how to reach the people who, just like you, are interested in the topics that you care about. Then we're going to go to Prince EA. And I'm sure you've seen Prince EA because his videos have got 3 billion views. This guy is a master poet and storyteller. He's going to help you overcome imposter syndrome. And for those of you who are perfectionists, you're going to learn from Dominic Ashburn, one of our highest rated speakers. Dominic started out with nothing. And using AI tools, he learned to go from no budget, low budget, nothing, to world-class aesthetics and social media. And he's going to show you how. And then from other incredible speakers, John Lee. John speaks to audiences of 4,000 to 5,000 people in places like Singapore. John's going to show you how to turn virality and views into money. And you're also going to learn from Natalie Ellis, known as the Boss Babe, on how to use social media to build a formidable brand that people love that can also generate money. So you're in for a powerful 3-day transformation. And the 3 days are going to look like this. Day 1 is about finding your voice. Shortly here, you'll hear from Kane. I'll be bringing up Marie Forleo for her interview. Day 2 is about being seen. We're going to go into some other really fascinating topics. Safwan, he's the brains behind many incredible YouTube channels, like Daniel Priestley's channel. And he's going to show you how to make YouTube work for you, especially if you have educational content. Day 3, get paid. You're also going to learn from Chris Do. Chris Do is one of the top branding experts in the world, and we're excited to have him on this stage. And of course, John Lee and Natalie Ellis. Now, after this summit, you're going to learn that information alone doesn't create transformation. Implementation does. We'll talk about Mindvalley Social Media Mastery Degree. It's a micro degree, 5-month program. You can get information about it. There's a booth outside. I'll also present on it tomorrow for those of you who are interested. We have a university called Mindvalley Academy, and we run 5-month degrees, and this is one of our more popular degrees. So we'll talk about that too. But I want you to remember this. It's not about virality. It's about visibility. And we are super excited and honored to help you learn from all of these amazing teachers. Going from invisible to unstoppable. And that's where I'd like to see you, unstoppable. Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much, Vishen. I have to tell you, if you just take what he's saying and apply it, it works. You know, we were talking about visibility before, and I was at the last Mindvalley event, and this really stuck to me because I was like, I don't feel safe being seen.
Thanks.
And so I was just doing it. I was saying, I feel safe to be seen. I feel safe to be seen. I feel safe to be seen. And the very next day, Elon Musk shared my post. So sometimes the change just happens in our mind. It's that fast. And we don't realize that we just have so much pain to what we're doing, and that's why we don't do it. And so I'm so grateful for Vishen breaking this down so we can see the visibility, see why we're not doing something. And that moves to our next speaker, because if we now know why we're not doing something, because it's painful, because we have childhood wounds, because it goes against our culture, then we have to attach pleasure to it. And so our next speaker is going to come on, and he's going to talk to you guys about how this can be good, how this can be life-changing. And he's done over hundreds, billions and billions of views, 60 billion views. He's worked getting clients hundreds of millions in followers. And so as Vishen said, I want you to think about that. What would that be like with your visibility? What pleasure can you get from this? And once you can get beyond the lies, there's 5 lies that we're telling ourselves about social media, and it's why it's keeping us stuck. So here to debunk that, he is an incredible genius in this space, starting from 2007 and building unbelievable brands for people. As I said, 60 billion views. So please, everybody, help me welcome to the stage, Kane.
Thank you, guys. It's a true pleasure to connect with everybody here today. I appreciate you coming out. We're going to have a ton of fun. We're going to dive in deep into some data on how to truly succeed in social media. So what I'm going to be diving in, and I love what Vishen covered in terms of the mindset. Now we're really going to dive into what is possible. So I'm going to be digging into the 5 biggest lies in social media that are holding you back from success. So thanks, Caitlin, for that great introduction. A little bit about myself. My name is Brendan Kane, and I've spent literally the past 20 years focused on one single thing, and that is understanding who, what, and why goes viral. Understanding why some brands, creators, businesses flourish and continue to break through, while others seem to fall flat. So I have published 3 best-selling books on this subject matter: 1 Million Followers, Hook Point, and The Guide to Going Viral. And the reason I say that is each one of these books has the exact same dedication. And that is, I firmly believe there are people all over the world, just like you, that have the ability to transform it in a positive way with their message, their product, or service. They just need that helping hand, that blueprint, that guide to make it happen. Like, I believe in this so much that I literally give away these books for free for people that follow me on social media. So what my commitment is to you today is, and over the next few days, is to share my 20-plus years of experience studying content. To the point is I founded a company called Hook Point where we spent over 15,000 hours manually researching and understanding why the top brands and content creators consistently break through, to the tune of generating over 60 billion views, 100 million followers, and over $1 billion in sales and revenue for our clients. So I would like to start here as a little bit of a mental exercise. I want you to imagine that you were given a treasure map. But with this treasure map, you know there's gold out there, but you're given no compass, no idea of where the gold is. So what do? Well, you go out, you dig a hole, there's nothing there. Well, you dig another hole, there's nothing there. And you just keep digging and digging and digging until it looks like a gopher just completely attacked the area that you were trying to go after. And the reason I say that is social media is the same way for a lot of people. Is you keep creating content, throwing things against the wall and hoping something sticks, but you just can't find the gold. How many of you have kind of felt this way about social media? That you're constantly putting the time, the energy, and effort, but you just can't seem to figure out what is the blueprint, what is the map. Yeah, I feel your pain. I know how frustrating that can be. So I want to do just a little bit of a level set of defining what social media is. Because to me, social media, it's more than a platform. It's really a revolution in communication. So what do I actually mean by that? Well, if we think back 20, 25 years ago, before social media, how did we reach the masses? Well, you need to have millions of dollars in marketing budget. You needed to have a PR team. You needed to have a publicist. You need to figure out, how do I get on television? How do I get into a magazine? How do I get into a billboard? Versus today, social media has decentralized communication to the masses. Literally, anyone with one of these, with a great story, can reach millions and millions of people with no cost at all. That is the remarkable part about social media. Now I want to talk about, what does going viral mean? Because virality and viral is thrown out a lot. So what does going viral mean? To me, it's just about capturing attention, enough attention to achieve your business goals and results. Now, everything that I'm going to share with you over the next few days and today is, I'm never going to say go viral for the sake of going viral. This is not about vanity metrics. This is about business results. How do we achieve your goals? So, in terms of the number of views, for some people, they generate 100,000 views and they're sold out. For other people, it's 1 million. Another, it's 10 million. It's 100 million. Virality isn't a number. It is an outcome. And that outcome is different for each individual. So I started my career back in 2005 on social media. So at the time, MySpace was the predominant player. They had 25 million users. Facebook was at 6 million. YouTube was at its first year and reached 8 million users. Now, the amazing thing about social media back then, it was very simple. Somebody follows you, you post, and people see it. What a revolutionary concept. Don't we all wish that social media was that easy today? Well, things changed. Well, what changed? Well, the reality is, by 2010, we had 970 million people on social media. By 2015, we were 2.2 billion. By 2020, 3.96 billion. And we reached in 2025, 5.2 billion. 5.2 billion people in less than 20 years. So what changed with all of that? Not just the number of people, it was the arrival of the algorithms. Because as platforms scaled, so did the complexity of what worked and what didn't. Because across social media today, there's over 1 billion pieces of content uploaded every single day. So if we think about opening up our favorite app, it doesn't matter if it's TikTok, if it's Instagram, it's YouTube, it's Facebook, there's probably 150,000 pieces of content that the algorithms could seed specifically to you based upon the people that you follow and the content you've engaged. So obviously, we are not AI robots, at least not yet. We can't consume 150,000 pieces of content within seconds. So the algorithms had to be invented. Invented for what? To determine what are the first 5, 10, 15, 20 pieces of content they're going to seed specifically to you to do what? To keep you on the platform longer. Why? Because all of these platforms make money off of retention, meaning the longer we spend on these platforms, the more ads they serve, and thus the more profit that they generate. So there's a lot of myths and demonization about the algorithms. One I hear a lot is, oh, they're just suppressing my reach on purpose to get me to pay for boost posts. Okay, if that's the case, then why is Mr. Beast the most subscribed person on YouTube? Why isn't it Nike? Why isn't it Netflix or IKEA, these companies that spend billions of dollars on advertising? And I will tell you, of 20 years of doing this, 99% of the time you're not being shadow banned. That's just not the case. You're competing with 150,000 pieces of content to reach the core person that you're trying to reach. So obviously, as the algorithms took effect, there was a lot of frustrated businesses and content creators out there because they couldn't figure out what was going. They just went from, I post and people see it, to I post and it's crickets. So they started to seek hacks and tricks and trends instead of prioritizing what the algorithms really want. And again, that's just retention. If you can prove you can hold people's attention and keep them on the platform longer, well, they will push you to as many people as possible. The amazing thing that people don't realize about the algorithms is they need us. We are the fuel that runs them. This is not Netflix or Disney where they're investing billions of dollars in original content. We are the fuel that runs them. So over 15,000 hours of research, we came away with this key hook point insight. And that is storytelling plus retention equals success. So what do I mean by that? Well, if we think about stories, like Stranger Things just finished. How many people watch Stranger Things? Okay, so what happens with stories? Any movie or TV show, you start it, and if it's a great story, what do you want? You want to see what happens at the end. It holds your attention. And that is what storytelling plays to what the algorithms want. Because when people start a great story, they finish it. What is that? It's retention. It's holding the audience's attention so that they will push your content longer. So today what I'm going to do is dive into the 5 biggest lies that are holding you back from success and show you what is truly possible. And I guarantee any one of you can master social media. I mean, we work with people that start with 0 followers, 0 views all the time, and they become experts on social media and scale massive audiences. So let's start with lie number 1. Virality is pure luck. So how many of you have spent a ton of time, energy, resources, really put your heart and soul into a piece of content and it just falls flat? Raise your hand, and I want to hear from people in the chat here. Put a yes in the chat if you've felt that pain. Yeah, I feel that. I know what that is like. And the reality is, there is a science to this. I know it can kind of feel like you need the Willy Wonka golden ticket, you need a magic Harry Potter wand, you need a winning lottery ticket to kind of unlock the algorithm to get you reach. But it's not. There's a science. That science is rooted in storytelling, and I promise anyone can learn it. So, growing up, I was captivated by movies. I loved movies. Sometimes I'd go to the movie theater, and I wouldn't just stay and watch one movie. You know, as a young kid, I didn't have money. I would just go into one movie theater, the next one, the next one. Sometimes I watched 2 or 3 movies in the same theater in one day. So when I grew up, I wanted to go to film school. So when I went to university, I went to film school. And the amazing thing is I wanted to be a movie producer. I wanted to do the business side of it. But the interesting thing about film school is even though I wanted to do business, they made me take acting classes. I'm the first thing from an actor. They made me take screenwriting classes. They made me learn how to write, light sets, edit, all these things. Why? Because there's all these nuances that come together to tell a great story. So I started my career in the movie industry, and I worked for Academy Award-winning producers. And it was a fascinating experience to see these people that reached the highest levels of storytelling, and yet they could produce a movie, and it just didn't come through. Like, have you ever kind of been so excited to see a movie, and you walk out and you're like, I don't know, but that just wasn't great. I can't figure out what it was, but something just wasn't there. Well, it's because one of these nuances was off. You know, maybe the chemistry between the actors wasn't there. Maybe the director and the actors didn't get along, or the dialogue wasn't there, or the lighting wasn't there. And the reason I bring that up is social media is the same way. It's not about hope. We're not trying to play the luck game. It's about understanding the key elements of storytelling that drives success. So here's a simple truth about social media. Trends are fleeting, stories are not. Now, a lot of talk about social media is about trends. Chase the trend, follow the trend. Use this trending audio and you'll go viral. Well, the reality is trends don't lead to a mastery of story. So like the analogy I use is, let's all say that we are going to learn a musical instrument. So if we follow the trend route, week 1, it's the saxophone. Week 2, we're changing. We're going to go to the drums. Week 3, it's the guitar. Week 4, it's the flute. Well, if you keep changing the instrument each week, are you ever going to become a master of an instrument? No. So that is where storytelling comes in. So in the 15,000 hours of research that I said we've done, what we do is we study called storytelling formats. So a format is a well-researched structure that has proven to have success time and time again, that you can insert your message, your brand, your company into. So an analogy I like to use is, if you think about the skeleton, the human skeleton, that is kind of the format. And the soul is the story, the way that you express yourself through that format. So formats allow that flexibility. And I'm going to show you a few examples today of what these formats look like. So I want to start here because this is an amazing guy that we worked with. Some of you may have seen his work. His name is Tanner Leatherstein. And he's an amazing guy. At the age of 11, he crafted his first leather jacket. Age 11. And he just fell in love with the art of crafting leather goods, to the point when he grew older, he created his own company called Pagai that creates leather-crafted goods. You know, custom purses, briefcases, wallets, and things of that nature. But the challenge was, he was brilliant. He had 30 years of experience, but nobody was paying attention. He was stuck at 2,000 followers, and he kept scrolling. He was up till 2 a.m. scrolling, and seeing competitors with less experience, poor quality goods, going viral and selling out. How many of you guys have seen that? Raise your hand, and I want to hear from you in the chat. Like, how many of you have seen people that have far less experience than you just killing it on social media and you can't figure out why? My products, my expertise is better than this person, but everybody's paying attention to them. Well, that is what he was feeling. So Tanner, when he came to us, he was doing what most business owners were doing. He was just creating ads. But that just failed. It kept him stuck. Why? Because how many people log into social media saying, I want to see a great ad today? Nobody. So let's actually look at what Tanner was doing before with his ads.
What can I say except you're welcome for the tides, the sun, the sky. Hey, it's okay, you're welcome. I'm just an ordinary.
So, I mean, there's nothing engaging there. I mean, he's just trying to sell his product. And that makes sense as a business. You just think, well, I just got to tell people my products. But unfortunately, social media doesn't work that way. Social media is not about pushing your products. It's about building trust, getting people to know, like, and trust you, and then they will ultimately want to buy from you. So when Tanner came to us, we helped him design a format called Is It Worth It?, where he takes very expensive handcrafted leather goods, deconstructs it on screen, and tells you whether it's worth the money that you paid for it. So let's look at an example of Tanner using the Is It Worth It format.
Coach leather bags, are they worth it? I went to the Coach store yesterday, and this was the bag I loved the most. Sales associate told me this was made out of glow tan leather, and the inside was suede. But I have my doubts. And as you can see, this is all fabric, not suede. In my opinion, about 6 feet of leather to put this bag together, about $5 a foot, $30 for the leather. Insanely good brass accessories, they used a lot of them. With the fabric, I give it another $30, so $60 in materials, and in my estimate, about $70 should be enough to put this bag together. In total, $130 for the materials and labor. I paid $450, doesn't sound like a bad deal. I love the leather, the feel and look of it. I hate that I was told inside was suede and it's fabric, and they used PU leather for the story patch inside. I wish it was real leather.
So he generated 10 million views with this video. And the amazing thing is when Tanner came to us, he didn't even feel comfortable on camera. He had the imposter syndrome that Vishen was talking about. But if you see this format, he's just sharing his expertise. He's not acting. He's not doing a silly TikTok dance video. He's being himself. He's sharing his expertise. Now, the amazing thing is about a format, it's not just about getting one hit. Tanner exploded. He went from 2,000 followers to 2.5 million across his social media channels. He has 94 videos with over 1 million views, 16 videos over 4 million views, and one of his products, just one of his products on Etsy sold over $1 million. Now, if you can see with Tanner, he's not doing CTAs. He's not saying buy my products or services. He's building a relationship through people, and they ultimately want to take that next step. Now, as I talk about formats, just know that formats can work in any industry, any sector, any niche. It doesn't matter. Anything can go viral. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So the real actionable takeaway I want to leave you guys with on this first lie is going viral, it's not luck. It is storytelling. People misconstrue what social media is. They think it's this mystery black box. It's history repeating itself. It's just another storytelling platform. It's where the radio, the television, films, this is the next step into that. And formats, and I'll be digging into more of that, are the key to success. And that is why I spent the last 20 years studying and understanding storytelling to create a system that allows predictable success over and over again. So before we move into live number 2, I want to do a fun little quiz for you guys in the audience and for you people attending in Zoom. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch 2 different videos. Video 1, video 2. And I'm going to ask you which one performed better, and then we'll dig into why. Okay, so that's video 1. So let's watch video 2 and start to think about which one performed better. And then I'm going to ask you guys, and then we'll reveal the results.
And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free.
Okay, so those of you on Zoom, put in the chat 1 or 2. Which one do you think performed better, 1 or 2? So you in the audience, how many think 1 performed better? Nobody? Nobody? Okay, number 2, raise your hand. Okay, well, you passed the test. Okay, so the first video generated 3,500 views, and it was by Pantene. The second video was with our client of ours, Regina Roth. It generated 17 million views. So let's actually break down why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the performance drivers. So performance drivers sounds like a very technical term, but it's very simple. It's things that drive performance up and things that drive performance down. So let's start with the first one, where we have the contrast. So in Regina's video 2, there is a very stark visual contrast of the before and after. It allows us to appreciate the transformation. Versus in the Pantene video, there's no visible difference between seeing the before and after. It minimizes the impact. The second performance driver is the pacing. So Regina, she builds the anticipation. And that anticipation amplifies the emotional impact of the reveal. And then on the Pantene video, there is no transformation. There is no payoff for the viewer. The next performance driver is the reaction. So there is genuine emotions from both the client and Regina, the hairstylist, that really pulls us in as viewers and connects with us. Versus with Pantene, there's just a real overreaction. It just feels inauthentic. And then finally, the authentic storytelling. So with Regina, there's a real relatable moment. It creates a deep connection with us as the audience versus with the Pantene, you can just tell this is an ad. There's professional lighting, fancy cameras, a paid actor. It just doesn't connect. So the reason I like to do this little exercise is it really amplifies lie number 2, which is you need big budgets and large teams. And this lie is real dangerous. Why? Because I see it all the time. Very brilliant and capable people keeping themselves on the sideline to say, I'm going to take social media seriously when I can afford that social media manager, when I have a big budget, when I can buy that fancy camera, when I can hire an editor. But the reality is, overproduction works against you, like we just saw with the Pantene video. Why? Because all of us today are professional content consumers. So what I mean by that is we're constantly scrolling on social media every single day. So our subconscious has been trained that the minute we see a fancy edit, a fancy song, lighting, an actor, we're like, oh, this person's going to sell us something. We'll just move on to the next one. So to dive a little bit into Regina's story, because it's really inspirational, is I received a message from her a while back that her dream was slipping away. She was a hairstylist, and she had been working for other hair salons her entire career. But now she wanted to open her own salon. So she moved to a new city, and she had no team, no budget, and she wasn't having success. She was going into debt trying to make this dream happen. She was posting every day, constantly, hours and hours and hours, and not seeing the success. She was weeks away from closing her doors. And she started to believe the lies. Well, maybe I do need a big team. Maybe I do need a big budget. But in reality, she didn't. She just needed the right format. And the success was amazing. Everything shifted with Regina with this format, and it wasn't her talent, it was just her approach. So many people believe I need to be somebody else to be successful in social media. No, you don't. You just need the right structure. And we taught her that in order for people to really connect with you as an audience, they need to feel something. They need to learn something. And that shift just caused her to explode. The video we just watched with her, 17 million views, that was the second video she created using our hook point model. But it didn't stop there. She's over 100 million views, but she became booked out an entire year in advance. Her monthly income went from $3,000 a month to $17,000 a month. But not only that, it opened up a world of possibilities that she didn't know was possible. She has brand collaborations reaching out to her, partnerships, all because she learned how to tell a great story. So remember in the beginning, I just want to reiterate this. With this thing right here that every one of you have in your pocket, if you tell a great story, you can reach millions and millions of people. And I know that it can feel like success is reserved for the big corporations, the big budgets, fancy cameras, or a certain level of fame. But the reality is you have the tools available to you. So the simple truth is that hooking attention and telling a great story will beat overproduced content every single time. You don't need a big budget. You don't need a big team. You don't need a fancy camera. Literally, some of our most successful clients are just using this, and they're blowing up. Regina is one of them. So don't let that lie limit you. So the actual strategies that we can take away here is, number one, we want to find a format that fits our resources. So I always, when we work with people, I tell people start with where you're at. If all you have is a phone, start with a phone. If you have a team, that's great. You can leverage a team, but you do not need to extend yourself and make some massive investment in a big team and big equipment. Number two is focus on storytelling, not advertisements. That's why I like showing the juxtaposition of what Tanner was doing with the ads versus the formats afterwards. And then prioritize emotional content over polished production. Okay, so another little pop quiz. This one's a little bit more difficult, so ramping up here. So we have 3 different videos. One that is about terrariums, one that's about car insurance, and the other is about warranties. So in the chat, I want you to tell me which one went viral. Is it terrariums, car insurance, or warranties? So for you in the audience, raise your hand if you think it was terrariums. No? No, tell me, which one do you think went viral? Yeah, now. I'm not showing you the videos until you guess. Okay, so like 10%. Okay, car insurance, raise your hand. Wow, people think car insurance is sexy. Okay, warranties. Okay, so most people think it's warranties. Okay, well, sorry guys, I tricked you. It's all 3. So we've got Ben Newell with terrariums, Chris Cobb with car insurance, and Erica Kohlberger, who's speaking here, with warranties. So let's watch all 3 of these videos.
Watch what happens when I put a cucumber in this terrarium.
So Ben, a dear friend of mine, generated 68 million views of this video. He's built an audience of 2.9 million people about terrariums. Terrariums. Okay, so now let's look at another client of ours, Chris Cobb, and he uses the visual metaphor format to explain car insurance.
This is how car insurance works in 60 seconds. So here we have John who just got a new hot rod, and that's when the insurance company comes in and says, "Hey, John, nice car, but have you thought about what will happen if you get in an accident?" And he's like, "No." They said, "Well, John, if you pay us $1 a month, it's called a premium. We'll cover your car." And he's like, "Okay, that's a no-brainer." So John speeds off. He's having a good time. On the highway, he's texting and driving. Guys, please don't do that, because he actually gets to the fender bender with his friend Marcus, and John is freaking out because he's thinking, how am I going to fix Marcus' car? How am I going to fix my own car? And that's when the insurance company says, "John, you've been paying the $1 in premium, so here you go. Here's $10. Go fix Marcus' car and go fix your own." And John is super relieved because he did not have $10 to fix his car. And you may be wondering, how does the insurance company afford this? Well, they have thousands of Johns who put money into a jar every single month, and they're not getting in accidents. But the insurance company is smart. They said, "John, I'm glad you're safe, but I'm sorry to give you the bad news. You're a risky driver. You're costing us too much. So instead of $1 in premium, I'll have to charge you $2 every single month. And that's how car insurance works. John is paying a little bit to cover a lot, but because John is more risky now, the insurance company is going to charge him more. Or even worse, they may drop his coverage. If you like the content, follow for more. This was actually a request from someone.
5.4 million views about car insurance using the visual metaphor format. So finally, let's watch Erica Kohlberg. She uses a format that I'm sure you guys have seen before. It's called 2 characters, 1 light bulb, where it's the same person that plays 2 different characters.
Hi, my shoe has a tear. Can I get a new pair? You bought that almost 2 years ago. There's nothing we can do since it's been over 60 days. She has no idea I know. Watch this. I'm not talking about the 60-day return policy. I've actually read your terms, and I know that as long as it's been less than 2 years since the manufacture date found here, it's covered under the warranty. And Nike will either give me a brand new pair or a gift card for the same value. Oh, fine. We don't carry that one anymore, so here's your $100 gift card. Who taught you this? Erica did. She's a lawyer and reads the fine print so that I don't have to. That's why I follow her.
So 75 million views with a video on warranties. So that leads us to lie number 3. My business, it's just not sexy enough. I know you guys have probably sat there and watched people in other industries just break through, and you're just like, you know what? I wish I can be in that industry because then I would kill it on social media. But the reality is there are people just like you in industries you never expect that break through. It is not anything can go viral. We just watched terrariums go viral. If terrariums go viral, you can go viral, okay? So I want to share another inspirational story with a client of ours, Corey Warren, and he rebuilt his entire life through sobriety. He struggled through it for years and years and years, and once he went through that process, he really felt called to guide others on their journey. And helping them because he knew the information that he had learned could save lives. But the problem was he was scared to death that this message was going to get lost. It was going to get covered up by silly TikTok dance videos, by pet videos, by people jumping off the roof or setting themselves on fire. But we knew it could work. So we matched him with the visual metaphor format to transform his message to impact lives around the world. So let me show you what this looks like of Corey Warren using the visual metaphor format. And again, you'll see the production value is super low. He's just shooting this on his iPhone.
This is what nobody wants to talk about with alcohol. My name's Corey. I'm an alcoholic. And for the longest time, I thought that alcohol was my problem. I thought that if I could just put the alcohol down, everything would be okay. What I realized is that alcohol is not my problem. Alcohol is my solution. When I had a bad day, alcohol was my solution. If my wife and I were fighting, alcohol was my solution. If I couldn't pay my bills, alcohol was my solution. See, alcohol was never the problem. The problem was I didn't know how to handle my life. So once I put the alcohol down and all that alcohol got up out of my cup, I could finally start to focus on me. And once I started focusing on the problem, I no longer needed the alcohol. If you want to quit drinking, hit me up. I'll do it with you. Peace.
So this video has an amazing message. This video generates 77 million views across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And he has generated over 250 million eyeballs on his content through this message. So he took one of the toughest subject matters possible, addiction, and turned it into something shareable, something inspirational, and something hopeful. And that is the big point of formats. It's not there to compromise your message. It's not there to restrict it. It's there designed to help people hear it, to help people break through. So there is no niche that is too small. There is no topic that is too abstract, as long as you have the right format to express it. Now, what made Corey's message go viral? What made Erica Kohlberg, Ben Newell, and Corey break through? Well, Hook Point, we call this the generalist principle. So what is the generalist principle? It is something that allows your content to make it accessible to the wider possible audience while still talking to your core niche audience. So people make this big mistake and say, I just want to talk to my niche. And this principle, marketing principle, was designed pre-social media. But on social media, as we learned about the algorithms, is they have 1 billion pieces of content every day to choose from. 1 billion. So they want content that they can see to as many people as possible and grab and hold attention. So we still want to speak to our niche. And if you saw all those examples, they're not changing who they are. They're not changing their subject matter. They're just speaking to their niche audience, but also making it accessible to everyone. So that's what the generalist principle is called. So how do we actually execute on this? So one of the key elements is simplicity, is use clear, easy to understand language. We're experts in our field, and oftentimes we use jargon that we've learned that other people don't understand. The other is storytelling, and we've talked a lot about this, but you want to engage your audience with relatable stories and emotions. And then finally is broad appeal. We want to connect with universal themes and challenges. Again, this is all around your subject matter. We're not going viral for the sake of going viral. We're taking your subject matter and allowing it to explode. So let's look at some actionable strategies here. So we have the universal angle. Going from, I'm a real estate agent, to let me take you on a tour of a $7 million closet. That's an actual video on YouTube by Ryan Serhant. Then we turn specifics and relatable stories. So it's the benefits of dental hygiene, we turn that into 90% of people are ruining their teeth without realizing it. Then using using analogies and unexpected comparisons. So imagine if all the bread in the world suddenly doubled in price overnight. That's how inflation works. And then finally, one of the most important things that we talk about at Hook Point is effect on viewer. So when we're creating content, we're always thinking about ourselves. I want to sell my product. I want to generate a number of leads. I want to get people to share this. I want to get people to follow me. But that's not how you design effective content. Think about the other person on the other side of the screen. What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to think? What is the effect that you want them to have after watching your video? So the reality here is any business, product, or service can go viral. There are people in all different types of industries that are succeeding. So do not let that lie hold you back. So another little fun pop quiz. So get ready for everybody on Zoom to enter in your answers in the chat. So we have an educational YouTube channel, and it explores science, engineering, and innovative problem solving. But on average, they only post once a month. So my question to you is, how many views do you think this channel generated in the past year? Is it A, 10,000 views? And for those of you zooming in, put your answer in the chat. B, 100,000. C, 1 million. Or D, over 10 million. So raise your hand if you think it's A. Okay. Put your hands down. B. Okay. C. And then D. Put your hands down. How many people think I'm tricking you again? Okay. Yeah, I tricked you. It's over 300 million views. So this is from Mark Rober. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him. If you don't, definitely check out his channel. He was a former NASA engineer. And what he proves is that success isn't about posting frequently. It's about posting strategically. And again, this is another example, an engineer making content go viral. So this is line number 4, more posts lead to more success. And I hear this all the time, frequency is key to success. It's simply not true. Now, there was a time 10, 15 years ago when there was less content on the platforms where it could work, but now these algorithms, these platforms have so much content to choose from. So the simple truth is that quality beats quantity every time. So what do I mean by that? Well, audiences pay attention to the quality of content. So think about the last TV show that you chose to watch, whether it was binge watching or just in general. Well, how did you make that decision? Well, I make it by, I see the trailer and I'm like, hey, this looks good, I'm going to watch this. Or a friend recommends it to me. I'm not looking at, how many episodes and what's the length of each episode to determine whether I'm going to watch it. It's all about the quality of it. Now, once you've mastered everything that we're talking about, mastered storytelling, then you can increase the frequency if you choose to do so. But starting in that place without mastering and understanding formats, understanding storytelling elements, you're just going to burn yourself out. So what are the actionable strategies that we can take away So these are a little bit of a rubric of things that you can ask yourself before posting content. Number one, does this post solve a problem for my audience? Does it tell a compelling story? And does it hold attention from start to finish? So these are 3 questions that you can ask yourself about it. Then we have the IKEA effect before we get into line number 5. So it's amazing. I was flown out to work with IKEA's global creative team. And the fascinating thing is about IKEA, it's in Sweden and it's in a town that the founder was born in. And like basically everybody in the town works for IKEA. But when they flew me out there, they put me up in an IKEA hotel. Did you know there's an IKEA hotel? It's pretty crazy. Like all the beds and the furniture and stuff is IKEA stuff. It's amazing. But the reason I bring up IKEA is there's this amazing aspect of it is that with just instructions and a few tools, they turn you into a professional content or furniture builder. Like I can't build anything, but I can go to IKEA and I can buy a desk and I can assemble it. So it got me thinking, well, what was life like before IKEA? What was life like 80 years ago, 100 years ago? Did you have to go into the forest and chop down trees and start sanding it and sawing it, putting it together? I mean, I would have failed miserably. My house would be bare empty. There would be no furniture. Talk as loud as possible. Oh, there we go. So IKEA changed everything. They turned everyday people into furniture builders. And that's where line number 5 comes in, that you need experience. No, you just need a system that works. IKEA turned the average person into a professional furniture builder because success isn't all about experience. It's about having the right guide and the right tools. And the same thing applies to social media. You don't have to have years of experience if you have the right format, if you have the right blueprint. You just need a proven system that works. So I want to share another story with an amazing woman, Dr. Erin Nance. She completely destroys this lie that you need more experience. At age 7, she broke her arm, went to the emergency room and had to have surgery. And she was so transformed by that experience that when she grew up, she wanted to be a surgeon. She wanted to be a hand surgeon. So she had all this experience, a successful practice. But when it came to social media, she had no idea where to start. She came to us with 0 followers, 0 views, didn't even know how to open a social media account. But with that, she started to kind of believe these lies. Am I too old for TikTok? Are people interested in a hand doctor? I don't want to do silly TikTok dance videos. And those lies were starting to limit her. But despite all of her doubt, her success came from mastering a format. So we helped her design a format called Little Miss Diagnosed, and it's really inspiring. It shares her experiences of what it's like to work in the emergency room and stories behind that. So let's watch a short little clip of Erin.
There are some sounds in medicine that, once you hear them, cannot be unheard. This is the story of a 27-year-old male screaming for help from his mother and how he ended up in that place. So I'm the junior on call for ortho, and I'm already in the ER seeing a bunch of consults, and I hear someone screaming. Now, I take care of people who are in car accidents, who are in burns, who are being bitten by dogs, but I have never in my career heard someone screaming like this.
So do you want to know why this guy was screaming? Well, you're going to have to go to our channel and watch it. We don't have enough time. But it's the storytelling there. It makes you want to watch until the end. This single video, with her iPhone, with no experience, 9.5 million views. But that wasn't all. She has 834,000 followers and 150 million views. 31 videos with 1 million views. She's now a keynote and TEDx speaker. She's published her first memoir. She has a podcast deal, and she's now pitching a reality TV show in Hollywood. And she founded a company, Found Better Health, with a 7,000 wait list. So I say this because if a hand surgeon can make this work, anybody can. Now, to wrap things up, a little bit of story about my first book, 1 Million Followers, is I don't talk about this a lot, but when I started on that journey, this was like 2016, I had a lot of doubt. Who am I to write a book? I don't know how to write. I'm not a professional writer. Who wants to hear from me? And I was letting those lies hold me back until I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hire somebody to guide me on that journey. I hired a woman that had written 20 successful books to guide me on that journey. And because of that, I sought guidance, and it became an international bestseller. So the simple truth here is an effective system and a guide are more crucial than extensive experiences. So to wrap things up, the actionable strategies that we have here is follow a proven blueprint. Learn from those who have proven it, and don't wait. Take action now, because success comes from taking action. So if you've ever felt that success is just for the lucky, those with big budgets and teams, a sexy industry or celebrity status, constant posting, you have to constantly be posting, insider knowledge, just remember, these are all lies that are limiting your success. So stop letting these lies hold you back. Remember that storytelling is the key to success. So thank you guys so much. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll send you some free guides and insights, but I appreciate all your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Guys, let's give it up again for Brendan Kane. Thank you, Brendan. Let me make sure. Does anyone feel a little bit better now? Like we have some ideas on how to actually tackle this, how to create formats that work. I really like how he said, how do you want to make people feel? You know, there's so much power in our intention, and just setting an intention before you even create is so magnificent. How do you want to make them feel? How do you want to make them, what do you want them to know after this? These are such key questions. And one thing Brendan told me when I was talking to him backstage, he was like, Kaylin, if you just remember anything from this, the best story wins. So we're storytellers. Each and every single one of us have stories that we can tell, and that's how we can truly captivate. So on that note, I'm really excited for our next speaker, and I want to tell you guys about her a little bit because this is going to be the first time she's on the Mindvalley stage with us. And I don't know how many of you guys have, she was telling me her story, and I really resonated with her parents. She had one parent that was telling her, you know, her mother, Indian, you've got to go to school, you've got to become a doctor, you've got to get a degree. And then her dad, on the other hand, was like, no, it's okay to follow your passions. It's okay to go after what you want. I don't know how many of you guys have ever dealt with that. I was like, yeah, we've got some in the crowd. And you're like, well, what do I do? I want to follow my heart, but I also know I have to listen to what my parents are saying. And so she did something really unique, which is she did both, right? So she had this love for tennis, and she, at 9 years old, watched The Apprentice. And in the UK, this was huge, 8 million views. She goes, one day, I'm going to be on that show. Let's talk about speaking things into existence. Fast forward at 22 years old, she had 43 people working for her. She did tennis tournaments, the largest in all of UK, and she was on The Apprentice, and she knew she was going to be. She was telling me backstage, I was working on my MBA, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to be able to go to these classes. We're going to have to cancel this because I'm going to be on that show. And I share this with you because that's conviction. And I know we're learning about social media, but we're creators. And anytime we can bring that level of certainty, that level of conviction, then the universe matches you. And so after going on this show, she had massive success. She was like, I would be in the street and people would just stop me. Everything was going right until it wasn't. Anyone been there? You're like, everything's amazing. And then COVID hit. And in a moment, her business, her speaking, her MC, everything was taking away from her. But there's one thing that people can never take away from you, and that is your brand. And that's why we're here, to understand this, that when you grow a personal brand, when you make a name for yourself, nobody can take that from you. So in the hardest of times in COVID, she decides that she's going to go into tech. And in tech, in 6 weeks, she had 500,000 people on her platform. That's faster than Facebook. And in the last 6 years, she has grown an unbelievable company. She's worked with some of the top people in the world. And she was telling me, you know, Steven Squid, he used to be my +1. Now he's speaking here. And I'm like, this is incredible. And I'm excited because she's going to talk to us about a platform that I think a lot of creators miss, and that's LinkedIn, right? But that's a place that you can share, that you can write. She said, it's kind of like my diary. I'm like, oh, I could do my journal entries there. And she's like, exactly. So I want to share this with you because I want you to know that this is a force. I want to tell you one more thing. I got to be fast, but she also had, she went blind for 3 months, and doctors told her that she was never going to see again. But she knew the power of visualization. I tell you this because these are tools that you can put into any aspect of your life. And after 6 months, she healed her eyes. And that is just the type of person that is coming on stage. And I want you to know that because she's a force. And the information that she has that she came to share with you, I know can change an aspect of your life if you listen. So please, everybody, help me welcome all the way from London. I'm going to say it in a British accent, Sabrina Stocker. Yay! Oh, thank you for being here.
Can you hear me okay? Yes, amazing. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Sabrina Stocker. I used to live in Dubai, and I've come back, and it's so great to be here. The weather's beautiful. Now, today, we're going to be jumping in for 20 minutes about all the lessons I've learned working with the biggest creators and entrepreneurs over the last 6 years, generating billions of views online and growing their brands. So quick hands up. Who's a founder here? Amazing. And who's a creator? Great. Okay. Who's currently posting on LinkedIn? Amazing. Who's not posting on LinkedIn? Okay, cool. So LinkedIn is a really exciting platform. And when we start thinking about how we're going to grow our brand online, sometimes we overthink it, right? It's a little bit tricky, and we're like, oh, I don't know who's watching. I wonder what someone else is going to say about me. Maybe have old classmates there. So I want to do one quick thing. I want everyone to stand up for me. Amazing. And we're going to activate our voice, right? Now, this is the Mindvalley stage. We're going to get our throat chakra going. We're going to activate our voice, and after the count of 3, I want you to give me a 5 out of 10 to say your name, okay? If you were introducing yourself, 5 out of 10, say your name. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1. That was pretty good. That was a good 5 out of 10. I'm not going to shout my name because otherwise you might go a bit deaf. Now we're going to give it a bit of 8 out of 10, but we're going to get our body bouncing. And I used to be a tennis coach, so I can do this all day. So let's go. There we go. Everyone at Zoom, you can just stand up from your seat, get your body moving. So we have 20 minutes. We're going to activate. All right, we're going to go for come on, guys. I used to be a kid's tennis coach. There we go. Right, 8 out of 10. We're going to shout our name. 1, 2, 3. I like that. That was pretty good. Give yourselves a round of applause. What? We haven't even got to a 10 yet. Stay standing. Okay. We're going to go for a 10 out of 10. And we're going to really imagine that you're on stage right now here. And we're going to activate that voice. Are we ready? Okay. Come on. Get the feet moving. I'm in heels. I can do this. Okay. Ready? 8 out of 10. 10 out of 10. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, how did it feel? I need to get my breath back. I'm not as fit as I was when I was 22. Whew. How did it feel? Did you feel great? Did you maybe feel a bit embarrassed at first, though? Am I okay? Am I breathing hard? Can you hear me good? Okay. Fantastic. Whew. What happened to the 22-year-old tennis coach that was on stage once? When we say our name, isn't it powerful? Because imagine if I came on stage right now and I said, hey, everyone, my name's Sabrina. It's so good to be here. Would you think that I was really excited to be here? In comparison to saying, hey, my name's Sabrina Stocker, with power and excitement about my name that I have. Can you see the difference? So it's exactly the same when we're online. How do we use our name rather than trying to create this persona that we think everyone else wants to have? I need a clicker. Amazing. So today we're going to be talking about how to build our brand on LinkedIn. And specifically, how do we do this in a way that isn't overwhelming and tiring? And sometimes we spend so long writing a LinkedIn post. Has anyone written a LinkedIn post and then not posted it? Has anyone written a LinkedIn post and then no one's done anything and you're like, why did I spend all of that time writing? It's frustrating. So how do we create a system? Because the thing is, hands up if you are ready to grow your personal brand. Should be everyone in this room. Keep your hand up if you actually have ideas about already how to grow your personal brand. And keep your hand up if you're not doing those ideas. It's not the idea that we don't already have the knowledge about what to do. It's that we don't have the systems that allow us to do this on a continuous basis because we're so busy all the time, right? And we have a 10-second attention span because of TikTok. Everyone cross your arms. Now the other way. It's a little bit tricky. We don't like change. So how do we create that change in systems? Are you with me? Amazing. So being impressive doesn't grow influence, being easy to engage with. If I walk into a room and I'm walking high and I'm a bit elegant and my head's held high, do I look approachable? Whereas if I walk into a room and I'm relaxed and happy and excited to be here, are you more likely to speak to me with this energy? How do we create that energy online? Now, has anyone else heard of the phrase, 3% of LinkedIn users actually post? Hands up. Okay, so 3% of content creators on LinkedIn actually post something. And when we think, okay, well, that makes sense for us to post, right? But it tells us something even bigger than the 3%. It tells us something about the 97%. That means 97% of users haven't got the confidence to post. So instead of thinking about what we're going to be writing, what if we just flip the script and we said, how do we address the 97% and think, how do we become easy to engage with? Does that make sense? It's a little bit breathy, but are we okay sound-wise? Okay, fantastic. All right, hands up. If I wrote a post on LinkedIn and I said, I'm going to tell you all about PR, and we're going to talk about how to write an incredible press release, who would be interested in that? Right? A couple of you, but it's a pretty boring topic. But if I told you, hey, I'm going to tell you about what it's like to be 30 and single, and what it's like to be a woman entrepreneur who's 30 and single, who's going to have an opinion? Right? So how do we flip the script? And instead of talking about who we are, which is just a bit of an ego boost, we actually start talking about who we are as a person, our family values, our relationships, our thoughts, that coffee conversation that we want to have that everyone has an opinion on. Make sense? So I wrote a post, and there was a photo of me and Gary Vee, and I said, let's talk about the UK versus the US economy. Now, when you follow me on LinkedIn later, you'll see that post. And what happens is everyone has an opinion. Everyone wants to say, yeah, the US are killing it and they're years ahead of the personal brand. Then you have someone saying, well, I don't like the Cardones. I don't like how the way they sell. And then you have, why are you not being positive about the UK economy? All of these different opinions. So how do you start creating posts to engage and spark opinions just like you would tell your best friend during a coffee chat? Make sense? And now what you're starting to do is you're starting to target the 97% with our LinkedIn posts. So over the last few years, I've worked with amazing, amazing creators, entrepreneurs. I've spoken on the same stages as those really, really big names, all because of my brand. Hands up if you want to be a speaker one day here. How do you create those associations to get you in the right room? Now, I was on The Apprentice many years ago. Have I got any Harry Potter fans here? I met Tom Felton, who played Draco Malfoy, which was insane, and the most famous person that I've ever spoken to because I was in the right room. And I'm allowed to say that because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and that will be a big moment for the rest of my life. But how do we create those connections? This is a slide to show that I've done a couple of cool things. You can have a read. But as I've been able to scale it, I lost everything. When I was 23 years old, running the biggest events company in the whole of the UK, I was an MC, I was being headhunted for Blue Peter, and then everything stopped overnight and I couldn't even pay my rent. And it was like going on this huge TV show where everyone suddenly thinks you're this really famous, successful entrepreneur and you can't afford to pay your rent was so embarrassing because you don't want to be vulnerable and you don't want to share those lessons. But within 6 weeks, I was able to turn that around. I went to every single UK press paper, and we had the fastest growing startup in the whole of the UK for that year. We grew to just under 500,000 users in 6 weeks because people trusted my brand. Followers don't follow content. They follow the way that you make them feel. Has anyone ever gone onto LinkedIn and they've thought, this person is telling me about really, really interesting stuff, but I don't care? Does anyone ever feel that when they go onto LinkedIn, that someone's just trying to sell them something? And that's why you don't do anything on LinkedIn, because everyone's ever trying to sell you something? The only difference between Instagram and LinkedIn is that Instagram filter those messages out, but they still come through. So by creating your own filter, you're going to overcome that. Now we are at Mindvalley. Vishen is in the audience. We had to put a little bit of a spiritual twist into the LinkedIn world. So we're going to jump into how we use everything I've shared in order to create that into your LinkedIn. Make sense? Okay. So we have the Aura framework. Now this should be, and I have about 10 minutes left of you, so it's a good time to take a couple of photos and notes. Specifically, how do we use this into our everyday life so we can create content, actually drive sales through our LinkedIn pipeline without taking too much time? Sound good? Okay. Attraction. Easy questions beat smart ideas. A little one for you. Imagine if I suddenly became really, really technical talking about stages. And I'm going to talk about the conversions of one of my funnels that drove us to 25 calls a day. And I'm going to talk about specific copy changes that made small 1% implementations. Maybe that's interesting, right? But you're going to probably think, I can't really have a conversation with her because she's a little geeky girl on stage. And it takes us a little bit of a step back. Whereas if we change the topic and we thought, hey, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of what it's like to be a speaker, and I'd love you to come with me, and I'd love to share your dreams and aspirations, it sounds a bit more exciting, right? If I start talking about how my mum was Indian, and she pushed me to become a doctor and a lawyer, and she said, you just can't start a business without having a degree, that sounds like something maybe you'd have an opinion. So by inviting that 97%, we're starting to create an attraction where we're able to create a conversation with anyone. Sound good? So what's someone's profession in the audience? Hands up or shout out. What does someone do? A salsa instructor. Amazing. We'll have a dance later. I love salsa. Okay, so imagine that she's trying to find new salsa clients on LinkedIn. Let's say you have an online salsa academy, because it's a little bit tricky to demographically do salsa dancing. So we have this online salsa attraction, and we want to get people going. If she suddenly starts, okay, I can do a little bit of salsa, right? So if she suddenly starts saying, okay, we're going to do a 3-step, and it's all about having it in the hips, you're probably going to turn it off. But if she wrote a post saying, hey, I had a 2-year-old, and I really struggled when I gave birth because I felt like so isolated. And I found this new love of salsa. And I've salsa danced for 6 or 7 years. And I have the best love life with my husband. And we have this intimacy because I have this amazing flow going through me every Tuesday night. And I'd love you to have that flow with me. Come join my Salsa Academy. Can you see how now you're engaged? So how do we tell our story that's really powerful there? People don't engage because they agree. They engage because it feels safe. This is a really powerful one to take a photo of. When we go onto LinkedIn, has anyone felt, I don't know what to comment? And we don't want to sound bad when we comment, right? Because we don't know who's going to read that comment, or we don't want to sound a little bit silly with what we're doing. So how do we make it super easy to comment? And has anyone ever commented and they've spent so long figuring out what they want to say, and then they finally post it on that person they really admire, and nothing happens? They don't like it. You don't even know if they've seen it. And what do you think? Well, I'm never going to do that again. I started a stand-up comedy course in December, which was really, really scary. And I go onto stage, and there's like 80% guys in the audience, and my whole kind of comedic value is around being a blonde spiritual girl, but the funny part is that I just want a Birkin. I feel like that maybe work with a Dubai audience. And I said, who else is on dating apps? No one put their hand up. Of course they didn't. That's not easy to engage with because they don't want to say they're on dating apps. They're in very, very happy long-term relationships. But if I said, hey, who's excited to build something or change it? So the way that we ask questions is so, so powerful. And we want to make it easy for someone to have a two-way conversation with us instead of sharing what we feel like we want to share, which is ego-driven. Make sense? Okay. Understanding. Another good one to take a print screen or photo of. Stories create orientation. Services create distraction. I do not want to be sold to. And what I offer as a service probably appeals to maybe 2% of this audience, because you're not going on to LinkedIn to get sold onto. We're going on there to be entertained and to justify our social media use. So how do we start building in social media storytelling into what we're doing? Now, has anyone ever gone onto someone's LinkedIn profile, gone through their description and think, I don't care what I've just read and I've lost 30 seconds of my life? When you go onto my LinkedIn earlier, you'll actually see the different age demographics that I'm sharing about. At 9 years old, I became obsessed with The Apprentice. And at 14 years old, I made my boss £10,000 in 5 days and got paid £150. And then I was a tennis professional. So I'm telling you about myself, and you're like, I like tennis. Okay, I like her. She's interesting. Maybe they'll say something like, oh, I'm a huge Apprentice fan. I wonder what Lord Sugar was like. So when we're going through this, how do we create constant rapport with someone just so they like us? And the first stage on your LinkedIn isn't to sell. It's just to get someone to follow you and to feel like, I want to be friends with that person. Do you see how that changes the mind shift? We then have our relationships. How do we have presence over persuasion? Now, when I'm on LinkedIn, and this is the same for all social media platforms, I want to be the person that when they go on, they're going to feel like I'm having a best friend coffee chat. They're going to imagine that I'm someone that I want to share my biggest, deepest, darkest secret with and be vulnerable. And then we come down to how do we create and post that, right? Sometimes we don't know what to say on LinkedIn, but a really easy post from today could be taking a photo right now and saying, hey, I'm so excited to be sharing this with you because, and you're making yourself look good, but you're adding so much value and excitement. How do you want someone to feel when they're going through, and how do you share that through your content? Make sense? And action. As we're going through our LinkedIn, here's a killer funnel that most people get wrong. So this is one to pay attention for. I see the post. It's interesting. I'm then going to click through to the profile. We're on the profile. I'm going to read their description. I've seen their story, and I decide I like them. And then what most people do is that they go back to the feed, and you've lost them. And you've spent so long creating this amazing copy. And then they've gone. I see some nodding heads in the audience. So how do we change that? We know how to build funnels, right? We have a bit of a basic understanding of how to build funnels. Okay, so when someone goes in your profile, you have simplified your cold, warm, and hot leads coming through. Your cold leads, can anyone guess what the biggest aim here is? Yeah, we just want them to connect with us. That's it. No email list, no funnel, no service. How do we get that initial connection? Second step, how do we get them to start engaging with our content and still not trying to sell them anything? And the third is we're going to bring them into the DMs and have an actual human conversation with them and create that engagement, create that spark. Step number 2 is our warm leads. So here we have, does anyone else have an email list here? Imagine that you lost all of your social media tomorrow. The one thing you still have is your email list. So if we start creating that and we funnel them, that means if we've been able to create them into our capture web here. Our second warm could be something free. Again, you probably don't want to know about me or work with me yet. You've just heard about me. So how do we bring them into something free that says, hey, I actually know something and I'd love to share it with you because I'm so excited that I've got this result already. Does anyone have a warm, kind of get to the top of the funnel, a warm funnel that they can add in? So the warm funnel doesn't go onto our main page, it goes into our conversations because people feel safe and we want to create that safety environment. Has anyone ever tried to sell you something on LinkedIn to those really hot leads? Has anyone heard another person say, you got to get onto that sales navigator and send 100 messages a week, and it's got to be super targeted? Because it doesn't work. Social selling is the concept when they like you, they trust you, and they feel like they actually could win something together with you as a partnership, that they'll message you internally, and then you can bring into that hot conversation. So instead, when we're thinking about our LinkedIn, we're thinking about how do we build that ecosystem online instead of how do we make our next post. And this can become so powerful because once we get the ecosystem built up, which is exactly what we're doing in our social media mastery, before that, we're able to actually just tell our day-to-day story and have that coffee chat with someone else. Make sense? Now, this is a good one to take a photo of because we're going to lose the Aura framework in a second. Amazing. Most people, and most of the time when it comes to social media and LinkedIn, we're looking at virality, funnels, and tactics, and we forget the big picture. Now, for anyone who's married, remember back to your dating life, and anyone who's single, you can join me in this thought. But imagine that someone met you in a bar, and they came up to you and said, would you like to get married? It's not going to work. In comparison, if someone came up to you and said, hey, I'd love to buy you a drink, maybe we're going to get picked off. But if they gave you a genuine compliment, hey, I love your dress, thank you so much, I appreciate that, then we're going to have that conversation. So just imagine that the way that you're building out your LinkedIn is similar to your dating or old dating life for anyone who's married. We'll make that very clear. How do you build trust with your audience, and how do you create that closeness so you create a long-term relationship with them? Make sense? Amazing. If people feel your aura, hands up if you're into energy here. Amazing. It's the same as in person than it is online. How do we show up as that authentic self, make ourselves feel excited, bring in that light so people can feel us on the other side of the screen in comparison to just seeing us turn up? Amazing. Now, this is my QR code. You can steal my funnel, and if you message me Mindvalley, I will send you the slides from today. And we'll specifically love to see how we're able to build that ecosystem out. And I'm so excited to be joining Vishen on the Social Media Mastery, teaching specifically, step by step, how you can start implementing this every day. Amazing. Before we finish, everyone stand up. As we did at the beginning, I would love to see us sharing our name, opening up that throat chakra. I'm really experiencing, so we're going to go straight to a 10. Are you ready? It's okay, I get off stage, then you don't have to jump around after. Amazing. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been amazing today.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. Amazing. Thank you. I don't know about you guys, but I want to be friends with her. Did you feel that aura? That was amazing. Thank you so much. I really, 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 really love this. I love learning with you. I love these simple things that just remind us that it all comes back to just really being ourselves and really being open to sharing that with the world. And I'm excited for our next speaker because when I was talking to him, you know that saying, how you do one thing is how you do all things? And I really got that from him. And it's interesting because when I was talking to him about his life, sometimes you realize that everything that you do in life is leading you to this moment. And hearing his story and how when he was 11 years old, his dad convinced him to sell his Xbox to buy chickens so that they could sell eggs and he would eventually get money to buy his Xbox back. He started being an entrepreneur at such a young age. Maybe it was 9. Was it 9? Was it 11? It was young. I think it was 9. And then at 11, he was selling iPhone cords, and he was doing that. Why am I telling you this? It's because each and every single one of us, we have something in our soul. We have something in our spirit. We get called to a journey, to a path that we want to evolve and grow. And he's been an entrepreneur from such a young age. And after his entrepreneur journey and really just slinging it when he was a child with the chickens and selling cords and all of this, he got into a startup business. And then he told me, you know, there's this YouTuber that I loved, the biggest YouTuber in the UK, and I was going to be his editor. And I was like, cool, how long have you been editing? And he's like, I didn't know how to edit. But he applied. He just had this tenacity. And I love that so much. And after working for him for 2 years, he went on to create his own company, and he works as a YouTube strategist. Vishen talked earlier about Daniel Priestley. If you guys remember, Daniel Priestley is like the number one guest on Diary of a CEO. The most viewed is on there. And he went to our next speaker, Saf, and said, I want to grow my YouTube channel. And get this, in 3 months, he took them from 15,000 to over 100,000 YouTube subscribers. He is so brilliant at his craft. And even when I was talking to him about the audience, he goes, oh, you know what, Caitlin, I actually have something I can send you. I went through all of the polls of who's attending, and I did my slide, and I created a strategy based on who was in the audience. And I'm like, who is this guy? And he really loves what he does because he loves helping people. He loves helping people get their message out into the world. So if you're somebody watching this and you have something that you're looking to teach, you have something that you're looking to create, you have some story and messages that you're looking to share on a platform like YouTube, then you are highly going to enjoy this. And even if that's not you yet, I hope that he inspires you to want to take action and to share your gifts with the world. So please, everybody, please, 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 let's give a warm welcome to this incredible soul. Please, everybody, welcome Saf. Saf! Woo! I love it! Let's get hyped up! Let's raise the energy! Woo!
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow, what an incredible privilege to be here today. How's everyone doing? Let's get some energy in the room. So today, I would like to talk to you guys about YouTube strategy. I've been working with Ali Abdal on his YouTube strategy for 2 years before doing it myself. And the reason I wanted to give this talk today is because YouTube strategy in 2026 is looking really different to what it was in 2025. There's a few things which we're doubling down on, and there's a few things that we're leaving behind. And this talk is the first time I've distilled all of that knowledge into one place. In 2026, there's more views than ever on the platform. There's more money to be made on the platform than ever before. But there's also more creators than there's ever been on the platform ever before. But first, I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been obsessed with YouTube since I was in primary school. This screenshot, which will be coming up on the screen shortly, is from when I was 12 years old. I made my first blog post, and on that blog post, I had a CTA to sign up to my YouTube channel called The iMovie Guy. And I thought I was looking really cool with my best friend over there with our collars up, like, come and check out our stop-motion Lego videos. At that time, The hardest thing for 12-year-old Saf to imagine was how could he make a living from doing YouTube videos, silly little YouTube videos. 10 years later, I got a job with my favorite YouTuber ever, Ali Abdaal, and he invited me to join his team as a video editor. Now, when I got this job on the basis of a trial task. To be honest with you, I'd never edited for someone else in my life up until this point. But I backed myself. I took a week off of work. I think my boss is here, who was actually my boss at the time. I'm sorry, I took a week off work to edit that video to submit it. And then when they saw it, they were like, the aesthetics are perfect. The typography, the drop shadows, the colors, you clearly get the vibe. And when I went on the first day to meet the team, the general manager there, his name is Angus, he opened the door and he said, Saf, welcome to the team. We're so excited to have you. But before we go in, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. Okay. Which one would you like to hear first? Bad news? Okay, Saf, this is exactly how it happened. The bad news is our head video editor has just resigned, effective immediately. The good news is you are now our head video editor on the channel, and the first video comes out in 5 days. Holy crap. What a baptism of fire. In 5 days, I had to edit a video called How to Get Started with Investing. And I went to Ali, I got the footage. I remember seeing the footage, and he's great in front of the camera. He's very charismatic. But there was something missing. When you're teaching topics like investing, it's quite complex. You've got to explain the concept of compound interest, maybe what the S&P 500 is, what's a basket of goods. There was something missing, and we had to fix it in post. But at the time, I didn't have the chops to build this with motion graphics in 5 days. I actually stayed at Ali's house every evening to try and figure this out. And then one day, an idea came to me. What I'm going to do is set up this overhead camera with an A3 notepad. And then I am going to draw out all of the motion graphics and then time it up to the timeline. And that's what I did. And we posted the video online. And to this day, nobody knows that these are my hands that are drawing out this video. The video went on to get 3.4 million views. And I remember scanning every single comment when it came out, because it was my first YouTube video. I was like, I hope the audience doesn't notice. I hope Ali doesn't notice, to be honest. He didn't care at all. This video was a 1 of 10 on the YouTube channel. It had performed so incredibly well. But it obviously didn't perform well because of my hands. It was certainly not the rest of the video editing. And what we had noticed is that just 2 years prior, the same YouTube video with a similar title had also performed really freaking well. What we had noticed at the time was a pattern. In fact, we decided to replicate this pattern across other formats. And in this case, it's how would I get started with creating a YouTube channel? And the playbook that we had discovered at this time was something called a YouTube outlier. Now, in this talk, I'm going to cover something which I think is quite bold. Outlier YouTube strategy is probably the most popular way to grow on YouTube today. And what I'm going to convince you of at the end of this talk is that outlier strategy has an expiry date. And I want to leave you guys with a playbook, a perspective that's going to put you one step ahead of everybody else. But first, I need to explain what's a YouTube outlier. A YouTube outlier is a video that performs exceptionally well relative to the median number of views for that particular channel. It was popularized in 2019 by Mr. Beast's strategy team. And shortly after, around that time, there was a tool that came out called 1 of 10. If you haven't already got this tool, please install it. The tool will help you to be able to naturally see what are outliers that are coming up on your feed, and you'll slowly start to learn over time. But at the time when we were working at Ali's team, this was still quite a new idea. And so we were very excited by it. To demonstrate to you what an outlier looks like, I'm going to show you what is probably one of my favorite videos on YouTube at the moment. This creator currently has 46,000 subscribers. At the time he made it, it was a fraction of that number. It's gone on to do 1.2 million views in 8 months. And that same format has been replicated by other people as well. Hands up, would you click on this video? Would you want to know what people regret the most? The regret that people have the most, because I was super interested in this, is the regret of staying in the wrong relationships too long and the knock-on effects that has on their identity, their careers, things like that. This is the kind of knowledge which people would love to be able to find out. And in 2 minutes and 39 seconds, they get this incredible value proposition. What I did just there was break down and analyze why this outlier worked. The framework for being able to do that is by looking at these 5 components. And when you start to look at outliers, when you start to look at YouTube videos, I want you to be able to break it down by title, by thumbnail, by hook, the idea, and the format. If you can nail these 5 things, if you can start to look at YouTube content through that lens, I promise you'll naturally, over time, become a much better creator. So to understand why an outlier did well, this is another example that I personally really like. I'm obsessed with productivity and entrepreneurship, and when I saw this video come up on my feed in the first week, I was it immediately took me by surprise, because I thought no one had ever made something like this before. The term locking in has become a trend in the last year, and this creator was smart enough, probably because he's part of the demographic where he was using this very naturally in his language. He decided, I'm going to use locking in. This title has huge stakes. I locked myself in a room until I made $1 million. Okay, does he make it out the room? How does he do it? $1 million is a super clear value proposition on YouTube. It's a value proposition that's tried, it's tested. We've certainly A/B tested lots of different numbers, and it always comes back to $1 million. And then the Helvetica text is like a very premium, it signals okay, this is going to be a very aesthetic video. It's going to be like a vlog. So outliers, they just work. Why would you make a video that's not an outlier? It's tried, it's tested, it's a validated format. It just works. In fact, it works so well, you might notice that there are certain formats that come up on your feed all the time. Let's take this example. You've probably seen this before, but you wouldn't be able to put your finger on it. You might have watched one video from one creator, but you see a few more. What about this one? This was, the original video was made by my friend Simon Ong, and since then, so many other creators have copied not just the title and thumbnail, but also the thumbnail text, and even the facial expression. Yeah, is this a problem? What's going on? This is certainly something that I noticed over the last year. And people aren't talking about this idea of audience fatigue enough. Audience fatigue is something which is coming up in the analytics when we're looking at things behind the scenes. And I have coined a framework to try and explain this to you today so that you can have a better understanding of what audience fatigue is and how you can battle it. So, once upon a time, you'd be able to make a video. It's an outlier format. Let's say you make it here today. And then a second creator decides, I think that's a really good idea. I'm going to make it here. And it would probably do relatively well. But in 2025, 2026, if you decided to see an outlier that you liked over here, the second mover comes here, the third mover comes here, the fourth mover comes here, the fifth. By the 10th copycat, the audience has already seen that format. It's not earning the scroll stop. And so we have to take things a step further if we hope to capture people's attention in the right way. We have to really think about and understand what makes an outlier an outlier. Something I want to point out is that AI works off of pattern recognition. And when people are using AI tools to help them to create YouTube videos, which can absolutely streamline their workflows and it helps them to get much better work done, it has a bias towards replicating the formats that already do very well. It doesn't change the formula. So what we begin to see is a shrinkage of the curve. The half-life of a piece of content could go from 12 months to 3 months very quickly. So to demonstrate this, I'd like to show you this example, which is the 7 levels of X. For this particular video format, in 4 months, it was replicated so many times to the point that all of these videos got 10%, a fraction of the views of the original one. And you can see it. If you're online, you can totally zoom in and have a look at these view numbers. Some of them have done slightly better than others, but none of them have quite done the same as the original. And this all happened within 4 months of the original one coming out. 4 months is a very short amount of time. So, what's the solution? What do we do about this? You already understand that outliers are the way to go to create YouTube content, but you can't quite copy it wholesale, otherwise the audience might get fatigued, but you might not be convinced. So how can we take this a step further? Once upon a time, when I was working on Ali's team, the edge was outlier strategy. No one really talked about it. But creator literacy is higher than it's ever been before. People, when I have conversations with people, they tend to emphasize the title, thumbnail, and the hook. And if they're particularly into YouTube, they'll understand what a YouTube outlier is. Outlier strategy is no longer the edge. And what I want to introduce to you today is an idea of something called splicing and spinning. Splicing a piece of content is where you take one outlier and another outlier. You understand, this is crucial, you understand why did they do well? What were the different levers over here? If you're a consumer of the content, this will come very naturally to you. You'll look at the title, you'll look at the thumbnail, you'll look at the hook, you'll look at the idea, you'll look at the format. How was this presented to the audience? And you'll really understand why did this work so well. But if you take two formats and you bring it together, you can manufacture novelty for the audience and also for yourself as a creator. There's nothing more exciting than getting in the chair and creating a video that nobody else has seen before, and it's still pre-validated. So to illustrate this example, you could take a thumbnail, you could take an idea for a YouTube video, 31 health cheat codes I know at 31. You could take a thumbnail inspiration, and in this case, this is a before and after transformation, which is very native to YouTube. And you can bring it together to create something completely new. In 4 months, that video did 128,000 views. That was a 3x outlier on that channel. We throw these numbers out quite nilly-willy. It's like, it's a 3x, it's a 5x, it's a 10x. It's incredibly hard to get those number of views. It's incredibly hard to grow subscribers. So this is a really good success for that channel. Let's take another example. Over here, this creator took the 1-minute scalping strategy. He combined it with stupid, simple, and proven. And he actually took it one step further. I haven't highlighted it on the slide, but he's even put 9:30 a.m. every day. He's implying that if you just woke up at 9:30 a.m. and you did this one thing, you would have a 1-minute scalping strategy that just works, and you're going to be able to print cash. That's the promise that he set up. And he's really thought about the levers that made those original videos work really well, and he integrated it into his own piece of content. That's a 51x outlier on his channel. That's absolutely incredible. So next time you're creating content, next time you're doing your YouTube strategy, I'd love you to study outliers, but I'd love for you to study why those outliers worked really well. The second part of the equation is called spinning. Spinning is where you manufacture scarcity around your particular video. My friend Seb Losado talks about this all the time. To be able to manufacture scarcity, how can you make this a one-of-one, something that only you could teach? What's your unfair advantage? Do you have some credibility? Have you done it before? Are you speaking to a particular audience? Why are you best placed to be able to do this? And if you think hard enough, everybody has something. To illustrate this story, I would love to tell you how I've been using splicing and spinning over the last year. And I want to introduce you to one of the creators I've been working with. His name is Daniel Priestley. He is a tremendous entrepreneur. He's built and scaled businesses that go from $0 to $1 million in 12 months, and he does it for fun. He's done it 6 times. He's also appeared on Diary of CEO a record 6 times, more than any other guest. He's written 5 books on business, and he's won so many awards of being Entrepreneur of the Year. I think he gets sick of it. If you look at his background on Zoom, it's just like loads of awards over there. So when I got the call up to work with Dan, I knew I had to take it very seriously. And I still remember when I was with my friends, and I was in Switzerland, and we had a call. We opened up from the Airbnb. He goes, "Hey, Saf, what's up?" I was like, hey, Daniel, how's it going? Tell me a bit about yourself. And I go on to tell him about the work that I've been doing with other entrepreneurs. And I explained, I'd love the opportunity to be able to work with you on your channel. He's like your favorite entrepreneur's favorite entrepreneur. And he slowly nods his head, and he says, "It sounds great, Saf, but Can we get to 100,000 subscribers in 6 months? 100,000 subscribers in 6 months. To put this into perspective, TubeBuddy did a study, and they found, on average, it takes 418 videos to get to your first 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. This is a couple of years ago. It's even harder now. It's more competitive. 418. Even if you made like one a week, your timeline is years. Daniel Priestley said, I want it in 6 months. So what did I say? Like, no problem, of course. I'll do this in my sleep. Let's do it. He was like, OK, great. When can we start? I said, we can start in a couple of weeks. So I finished my holiday. I come home. And as it turns out, Dan lives 20 minutes away from me. And he says, come to the house. Let's do some filming. I said, OK, of course. And I remember the night before, I was packing all of my gear. I had to get the tripods ready. I had to get the batteries, and I had to make sure I had redundant batteries. Nothing could go wrong. I got the microphones. I got the SD cards. I had to double, triple check the SD cards the night before. We'd just moved house, and I was like, no, this is priority. Take it down to the car. I load it. The next day, I drive to his house, and I take all of my gear out the car, and I walk up to the front door, and I knock on the door. It's a huge home, enormous. You know when a home has like pillars, you know it's like a legit home. On the other side, he opens up. Hey, Saf, what's up? Come on in. Dan, he literally just walks off. And I'm there with my bags in the middle of this hallway, like, holy crap. I can see all the way down to the back of this absolutely enormous house. And I take my things in, and he's got the nannies are all running around to take the kids out of the house. Daddy's filming, you need to go. OK, fine, sorry, excuse me. And we sit down over here. And then there is this absolutely enormous table, and behind it are floor-to-ceiling windows. And I knew as soon as I saw those floor-to-ceiling windows, it was very Simon Squibb-esque. But it was Daniel Priestley's spin. It signaled high status. It signals a lovely property. And I knew we'd get some really nice depth of field. Immediately when I got in, I knew that's what we were going to do. So we had this huge table, and I get my tripod, and I set it up, and I've got a camera. And I just that day had bought a new mic. I knew I had to test the mic, so I plugged the mic in, and I had to set up my C-stand for the overhead. Over here, and we secure it. And doing an overhead, I get my iPhone over here, and we're going to put this up here, and we'll plug it in. OK, fine, everything is cool. Dan, you ready? Yes, I'd love a coffee, thank you. And we go down, I get the iPad, right, the 4 videos that we're doing today. And we've already done a strategy deep dive. We'd already thought about the outliers, already thought about the kind of videos we want to make. We're going to start with a video which is the best way to hit YouTube with a bang. And we want to get the biggest value proposition that everybody could click on. So universal, it's broad appeal. It was called Give Me X Minutes, and I'll teach you to make $1 million. It was X minutes because I just didn't know how long he was going to take to do it. So to give him the notes, I said, Dan, all right, this is the video we're going to make. Okay, this is the video. We've done the research behind the scenes. We have seen a reference where this is done really well, and we've actually spun this idea. We've spun this idea just for you. Sure, I can teach this. I can teach this stuff in my sleep. Okay, fantastic. So he sits there, and I go behind the camera, and I'm making sure everything's good, and we press record. And he goes through all of his lines. He's a very natural, charismatic speaker. He absolutely crushes it. We go through 4 videos that day. And we get to the end of the day. I haven't eaten a single thing, by the way. My stomach is rumbling in the background. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to go home. I've got to upload all these files. But first, I have to unpack all my equipment. And I come around, unpack everything, and I grab my phone. And the screen is black on my phone. He's just spent the last 6 hours drawing out all sorts of stuff on the whiteboard. The phone's hot to the touch. Oh shit. What do I do? I decided I would go home and sort it out. I just couldn't tell him in that moment. He'd literally spent 6 hours filming with me. The dude was tired. We'd manage this later on. I went home, and I took the scrumpled pieces of paper, and maybe I could iron this out, and then I could take a top-down shot, and we can find a way to make that. It's not going to work. Maybe what we can do, I have an idea. I can do exactly what I did with Ali. I can do the whiteboard, and I can animate it myself. I've got brown hands, and he's white, so that's also not going to work. The audience will notice that. OK, here's what we're going to do. Unlike back in the Ali Abdaal days, I now have the chops to do motion graphics. We're going to build this using motion graphics. Let's find the right typography. Let's find the right colors. Let's use a preset inside of After Effects called Trim Paths, and you can animate from 0 to 100%. Let's do a little preview. I'm going to get the editor on the team to help me to work on this. OK, that looks fantastic. And we put this together. And we spent 5 days custom animating every single hand stroke that Daniel Priestley had done at the time to bring it to life. And then when the video went live, I didn't tell him a thing. He had no idea. He was like, Saf, I trust you. You make this work. And the video went on to be an absolute smash hit. All of my favorite people in the industry ended up seeing this video. And they were like, Saf, it's amazing. Oh my God, how did you do it? We were able to do 307,000 views off of that, or 320,000 views now off of that video. And it was a huge outlier for Dan. Up until this point, for context, Dan was averaging, I've got it over here, 4,000 views a month. And he was appearing on everybody else's podcasts. But he was unable to do that for himself for some reason. And Dan's a very confident speaker. He's got so much knowledge. What gives? Why wasn't it possible that Daniel Priestley was unable to be able to make a video like this and do it for himself? And the reason why is because he hadn't built a proper YouTube strategy. But the YouTube strategy that we were able to implement was an outlier strategy. And we combined it with splicing and with spinning. So for this particular video, what was the spin? The spin here was that Dan did it 6 times. That's 1 of 1. Who else can say that they've built a $1 million business 6 times? And they've got the chops to prove it. And the outlier that we'd referenced came from Micaiah here on the right-hand side. He had the same value proposition, and his was a $110 million exit. I actually thought I did it 6 times was stronger than a $110 million exit, because he's actually done the same thing that the audience wants to do 6 times over. So what I want to leave you guys here with today is that this is the playbook which works, and in a social media landscape where everything is getting copied left, right, and center, I want you to think about leaning into authenticity. But I want you guys to have a framework for being able to do so. And so splicing and spinning has been the framework that I've used over the last year to be able to do that. And as you guys go on to create your own YouTube channels, I would love for you to be able to think about how you can splice and how you can spin. If you can spend just 15 minutes every single day studying outliers, I promise you will become a much better YouTube strategist in less time than you think. If you just put a time block in to study why something is working, you run it past a friend, you will become way, way better and much more quickly. At the end of the day, it takes the same amount of time to make a YouTube video that's a banger or just like absolutely flops. But put your hands up if you've put so much time into a YouTube video and you thought it'd pop off and it just didn't pop off. And then put your hands up if you put no amount of effort into a video and then it absolutely exploded. I know I've done that. I remember my second video that I put out. The microphone was off. The aperture was like going up and down. It was absolutely terrible. I thought nobody would watch it. And everybody ended up clicking it. And the most upvoted comment was, "Sort your camera out, bro." It got 600,000 views. And like everybody clearly loved the value proposition. And it was an outlier. It was an Apple Watch comparison video. No one had made an Apple Watch comparison video. I was curious. I was like, do I get the smaller one? Do I get the larger one? Apple didn't tell you anything about it. I got an idea. Let me get both of them in, and I'm going to make that video. So if I was going to put everything into like a cheat sheet, this would be it. This is the cheat sheet I would love for you to take away today. I would love for you to think about how you can create titles that promise a dream outcome, that promise a value proposition that's so big and transformative for your audience. And I promise every single one of you can help in doing that. I want you to think about the thumbnail. And remember, the title and thumbnail, they come together. Collectively, it's called your packaging for a YouTube video, and it should work hand in hand. The best packaging creates subtle tension from the get-go. It's like, I have to know what this is about. And with a lot of entrepreneurial creators, they don't always like to think in those terms. They see content as a means to generating an ROI, which is fine, but you're completely sidestepping what makes an organic video do well in the first place. So really have a think about that. The third thing is the hook. The hook is incredibly important to the success of your YouTube video. In 2026, your average view duration is going to matter so much more than your click-through rate. I appreciate this might be a little bit jargony, but your average view duration is how long you can convince someone to stick around on your video. And the retention curve on the video, meaning how long does someone stick around before they leave, always starts at 100% right up there, and within 30 seconds, it comes down here. Like you lose 50% of your audience in the first 30 seconds. So all of the gains are to be made in making sure you have a really good hook. I like to go through my hooks line by line, and I'll craft them sentence by sentence. I'll come up with 2 or 3, because on the day I might deliver it slightly differently, and then I get to choose. And then the rest of the video is delivering on that dream outcome that we set earlier on. The next thing is the idea, and the best ideas are always the simplest ideas. They're always the ones that they're universal, they are broad appeal, anyone can click on it, old, young, guys or girls. It's not always possible to find an idea that does that. And sometimes you might intentionally choose an idea that just appeals to your ideal customer, and that's totally okay. But at least be aware of the trade-off when you're doing it. And then the format. The format is super important. So many of the traditional speakers that I have conversations with, they have so much knowledge. They've been in the industry for such a long time, but they don't know how to communicate that to an audience who are mostly watching YouTube on their TV or watching it on their mobile. And you can take the same idea, but put it into a format like, I ranked the top 10 businesses to start in 2026. This is S tier, this is A tier, this is B tier, and I'm not going to tell you what this is because it's censored. It's like, okay, this is fun, this is a game, I want to click. It's a completely different value proposition to like, it could be a completely different value proposition to just describing what that is as a keynote talk. And then for outlier strategy, I want you to think about splicing, I want you to think about spinning. Both of these things are going to be helpful for you to be able to manufacture scarcity. It's going to be helpful for you to find pre-validated ideas without tapping into audience fatigue. Guys, in 2026, do you want to be a creator leader? Do you want to be a creator follower? Do you want to be content wallpaper, like what I showed you earlier? That's something that Stephen Bartlett came up with. I want to encourage every single one of you to become a creator leader in 2026. Dubai and the social media summit here, for everyone logging in online, this has been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for listening to my speech.
Crushed it. Awesome, Zach. Thank you. Do you guys love his storytelling? I was like peeking around the corner like, this is so good. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are learning a lot. We've had a privilege today to learn about so many different platforms, how Instagram works, how LinkedIn works. We just learned about YouTube, but there might be one thing that we haven't discussed yet, and that's why I'm excited for our fireside chat that's coming, and it's this. How do you not lose your soul? Anybody feel that? Like, okay, if this goes viral, but that's not really me, and I should do this, but that's not really me. And how do I have magnetic influence? And that's what we're going to talk about. Because yes, knowing the strategy is so important, but how you show up, how magnetic you are, the way you can influence others is so important. And so our next two speakers, we're going to have Vishen coming back, which you guys know him. We know him. We love him. He had an amazing talk this morning. And I'm excited to welcome to the stage his guest. Oprah named her the next thought leader of our generation. She has inspired millions to grow businesses and a life that they love. Her channel, Marie TV, has over 120 million views. Are you understanding what I'm saying? That is magnitude. That is influence. And that is doing it in a way where your soul is still alive and happy so you can continue and come alive. So for our fireside chat, I know some of you guys are sitting, but because it's our last talk of the day, what if we get up, we give a warm welcome to these two amazing souls that are sharing their time, their knowledge. If you're up for it, why not, right? Well, we'll come alive. You know, the energy that we're in is the information that we receive. So if we're tired and we're down, it's not going to land. So everybody, please, please, please help me welcome back to the stage Vishen Lakhiani, and joining him is Marie Forleo. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so honored to be sitting here with a woman who has inspired me right from the beginning when I became an entrepreneur. Marie Forleo has been at this for 25 years across new platforms, across algorithmic changes, from the rise of Facebook to YouTube to the iPhone. She's had this relentless consistency and built one of the #1 brands out there across social media for entrepreneurship education. So when I was starting out as an entrepreneur, like one of the things I would really look forward to was Marie's big launch. She built such an incredible fan base that once a year she would open up her education, and 20 million in revenue would just flow through from people who were so connected to her because of her voice, because of her values. And then she did such a great job nurturing entrepreneurs that this created this incredible viral moment where they would go and tell their friends to follow Marie. So I was one of those people, and Marie had a profound impact on me as an entrepreneur, as a marketer. And when we were thinking about a guest that we wanted to bring on stage who truly represents all of the values, the principles, the insights to really putting yourself out there for the good of the world, Marie Forleo was that person.
Thank you so much.
So Marie, I just want to read out some amazing statistics. Marie has had a #1 New York Times bestseller, a brilliant book called Everything is Figureoutable. And if you've read that book, put a yes, yes in the chat. She has been at this for 25 years, and she's had over 109 million views on YouTube. Marie, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for those of you at home. It is such an honor to be here. And Vishen, I adore you. So you know how the iPhone brings up memories? This actually happened randomly. I didn't even get to show this to you, but it was a photo of you and I at a party somewhere in Washington, D.C., probably like 15 years ago.
It was 2010.
Oh,
right.
my gosh. So 2010. So thank you, and thank your incredible team for having us, for hosting us, and for creating this space, because we're going to have a lot of fun today, and we're going to keep having fun to make sure that everyone in this audience and at home, that you get the skills, the encouragement, the strategies that you need to take your businesses and your brands to the next level, being you. Not being any different than you already are, but amplifying the values and the heart and the soul and the essence of the best of you. It's 100% possible. It's more possible now than ever. And Vishen and I are going to unpack that.
Thank you, Marie. Now, I also want to stress the reason I have a laptop in front of me is because we have close to 8,000 people online right now.
Come on.
And I'm watching your chat. And so it's so exciting to see. Hello, Marion. Hello, Linda. Hello, Vicky. Hello, Esther. Hello, Carmen. We can see you. We can see what you're writing. It's so good to have you guys here. So, Marie, let's get started. Now, Marie, you've built a massive platform. And one of the things we wanted to ask you is, when we surveyed our audience, what we found is that the #1 thing holding people back is the fear of being visible, the fear of being seen.
Yes.
People expressed in our survey, 8,600 people answered the survey, and the #1 trend we found is people are terrified of putting themselves out. Did you ever feel that? And what did you do about it?
So I think what's interesting about my story, first of all, I was so insecure when starting my business, and to put this into a time frame context, it was 2001. So social didn't exist yet. However, email did, and the internet and doing anything online was still super, super new. But I was just terrified because I had the fear, like most of us do, of not being good enough. And at that particular time, because again, we're taking it back to 2001, my fear was, oh, I'm too young to be doing this. Who the hell's going to listen to like a 23-year-old life coach? I haven't even, lived any life. But it's that same fear that now I think is really amplified online because of social, and because of how easy it is for people to disagree with you, and people are often afraid of being judged or criticized, what your friends and family, how many people resonate with that? Throw some hearts up online, raise your hands here, good. So everyone in the audience now, I would say it's probably 80%, and you can tell me how people are feeling online. So yes, I did feel that, and I have continued to feel that throughout my career, but here's something that I know for sure. That fear will keep you stuck forever. And that fear is not what you can have be the root of your life, your essence, or your impact. And hopefully we're going to unpack some of the ways today that will help you. You're never going to get rid of that fear, because I think that that's something that's primal in so many of us. But here's the thing. If you're not accustomed to posting, sharing regularly, it's like a muscle that you haven't used yet. You're just not comfortable because it's not a regular habit. Does that make sense? And once you get so used to it, so again, I'm 25 years in, it's like, oh, that old little thing, it's like barely even a speed bump anymore. So yes, I had it. We all have it. It's very normal. It doesn't mean that you're not meant to do this. It doesn't mean that you're not meant to share your message and not meant to share your product or your service. There's nothing about it that means that you're not where you should be. It just means that you haven't learned this skill or developed this habit yet.
Now, one of the things I appreciate about you is, well, firstly, not only do you share, but you're genuinely authentic. I've seen you online, and I've partied with you in Washington, D.C., and you're just real. And actually, I want to share a story about how you once terrified me. So what happened was, I was in New York, and I messaged Marie. It was 2008. I'd just become a father, and I was in New York, and I had my baby with me. So I was in one of those, you know, the male baby carriage?
Yes.
So I had this strap, and I had Hayden, my son. He was 1 year old. And Marie agreed to meet me for coffee. Okay, so we met for coffee. This was in a Starbucks. And I introduced myself to you, and, you know, I was kind of shaking. I was going to interview Marie for my blog, and I was already nervous. And then you said, "Oh, Hayden, nice to meet you." Now, Hayden was 1 year old. Now, Hayden did not give a damn who Marie was. So Marie's holding a coffee, and Hayden reaches out as a baby and goes, "Eh." And he whacks the coffee, and the coffee spills all over Marie. And now she's drenched in hot coffee. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, my 1 year old just cost me my interview. Marie is going to absolutely hate me. She's going to walk out. And then I turn to you and I go, "Are you okay? Do you need to go back and change?" And Marie, dripping with coffee, and she still smells so good, dripping with coffee, she said, "That's okay. I'm all good. It's just coffee. Let's continue." And I developed so much respect for you that day.
Oh my goodness. It's so funny. I don't even remember the coffee. Like, I don't even remember that happening. I just remember how much love and adoration and respect I had for you. And that's why an event like this is so special. And I want to take this back to what you are doing and what you are building. Here's one of the greatest things that can happen for you from sharing your voice, your ideas, your offers, your products online is the relationships you will develop. So this incredible human and I became connected because of the online world. And I'm here today, all of those years later, and we share so many friends and colleagues and memories. And he's made my life richer in so many ways. And you will have impacts on people that you cannot even imagine, not just them, but their children and their children's children. And that's why you're here, and that's what this whole thing is about. Revenue is great, that's wonderful, yay, we all love money, I love money. The impact is great, the other opportunities are great, but it comes down to the relationships, and it comes down to you making the difference that you were born to make. And we happen to be here in 2026, and social media is one of the primary vehicles you get to use to do that.
So the question I want to ask you is this. One of the summit registrants, so one of the people watching, wrote this in the survey, and I want to read it out. "Social media feels like forcing myself to be inauthentic. It drains my energy." Now, Marie, you've managed to build a massive brand that is deeply you. And, and I've seen you on social media. I've seen you in real life.
Yes.
Okay? Drenched in coffee.
Yes.
And it's the same person. How do you stay authentic when the algorithm often seems to reward performance?
Yes. Okay, so this is a great question. And I think it actually comes back to a root of something else that we all share as humans, which is when we're insecure, we are more likely to stray away from our own essence and look towards someone else, compare ourselves, and then try and copy that. Has anyone here ever done anything like that? You look at someone who's successful and you're like, oh, I need to be more like that person or that brand. If this resonates online, please throw some little thumbs up in the chat. Vishen can let me know. That's where I think we all get a little bit off course. Now, having people that you admire is awesome. Not trying to be them, but understanding, oh, wow, they just allow themselves to not have great light and they don't give an F. Or someone who tells jokes or is really humorous, or you can kind of admire the qualities, but you don't want to try and be them. Now, that's a subtle level of discernment, and it's important here, especially because of what you're talking about, this authenticity factor. I always like to think about not only social media, but any creation of content in terms of having just a one-on-one conversation. I often call it the friend filter. Write this down, the friend filter. So prior to AI, I still use this when writing copy because I still really do love to write copy. I'm a wordsmith. The friend filter is how you get any and all of your messaging to actually friggin' sound like you. And a really great way to practice this is if you took out your phone and opened up a new text to an actual friend, to somebody you really, really know, how would you start talking to them? What would you say? So let's say it's around your business, your product, your service, or your offering, and there was something that you just discovered, you just created that you knew your best friend, my goodness, if they said yes to your product or service, your offer, your lead magnet, whatever it is, it would freaking change their life. Would you be like, hey guys, I was just, or be like, oh my God, you have to hear this. So using the friend filter, if you start to practice with that, it gets you right in your authentic zone, not someone else's authentic zone. So let's talk about the algorithm for a minute, and let's talk about what that rewards. As we know, when you start digging a little bit deeper into the layers under social media, we know this from the studies and from the research and just from observing, is that the algorithm tends to reward things that are very extreme, right? We also know that it tends to reward things sometimes that are negative or outrageous. If that's you naturally, wonderful, go with it. If that's your true essence and that's how you roll in the world, if you're that friend who shows up and just drops some kind of bomb and you watch how other people react, fabulous, be you. But if that feels inauthentic to you, don't effing do it. Doesn't mean that you can't pay attention to tactics like dropping in the middle of a story or not, having this long-winded opening. But there is a way that you show up that is so real to you. And I believe, I'm going to predict this, as we continue into the future with more and more AI, I think people are going to crave the realness. They're going to crave the authenticity that can only come from your essence when you allow that to just be expressed. Again, you'll get better at the tactics as when you go, but I think if you start with the friend filter, pretend that you're actually talking to one person and a friend, that's going to help keep you on that alignment. And the moment you get snookered into what I call Compeerschlager, there was this liquor that I drank when I was in college. It was called Goldschlager. I don't know if anyone ever remembers that. It was terrible. It's clear. It has gold flakes in it. Smells like cinnamon. I wasn't a big drinker, but I did drink too much of that and would do, a couple shots and then wind up throwing up in a corner. And I remember seeing people online in the early days of social and just comparing myself to other people. And I'm like, this is like Compeerschlager. Like, if I look around and look at all these other people and how great they're doing and then look at myself and go, oh my God, I'm so shitty, for like 3 or 4 days, I'd have a comparison hangover and I wouldn't do anything productive. So that's why this authenticity piece is so huge. Don't get schnookered into Compeerschlagers. Use the friend filter. That'll help keep you aligned.
I really like that friend filter
Yes.
concept. Now, you wrote a book called Everything is Figureoutable.
Yes.
And one of the questions we got is this. I have expertise, but I'm paralyzed by what to post.
Yes.
How do you figure that out?
Oh, I think one of the easiest ways to figure out what to post, if you are an expert, is to go with a Q&A format. So I actually started Marie TV as a Q&A in some respects, because the human brain is really designed to answer questions. Have you noticed that? Often when we have dialogues with ourselves, we're like, what should I eat? What should I do? And you're always going back and forth. Anyone with some kind of expertise, you know this. If someone asks you a question, you rarely have talker's block or writer's block, especially if you know the answer. Am I right? How many people in here ever get talker's block if someone asks you a question? You get talker's block? No. I'm sure you're good. You're good. Anywho, take it in a Q&A format. So write down, let's say, the top 25 or 50 questions that you consistently get asked. Here's a great place that if you don't know what those questions are, you could use AI as an assist. If you have a list and an audience already, you can start polling them. You can start talking with people. And so, so many people have struggled with this visibility thing, with getting started with their social media. If this is you and this is what you struggle with, here's the quickest fix to help this get an answer or get a solution. Does that make sense?
So what you're saying is, imagine people asking you questions. Look at the most, if you're an expert, look at the biggest questions you're getting. I'm sure there's at least 50.
At least.
And then how would you answer it? Like, let's talk, opening, let's talk time. What does that look like? Let's say I asked you a question. Marie, Your book hit #1.
Yes.
What's the first thing I need to do if I want to get a book out?
The first thing you need to do if you want to get a book out, you actually have to decide what your goal for that book is. Is it about visibility? Is it about making money? Is it about hitting the New York Times bestseller list? So I would probably come back with a question, and then that would start to build out, oh, you know what? There's probably 5 things you should ask yourself before you even begin to write a book. In the next series of videos I'm going to do over the 4 weeks or whatever, I'm going to tackle the biggest X, Y, or Z. Let's start with number 1. So now, in today's world of viral videos and social media, is that going to be like, oh my God, it's going to hit and it's going to get 4 million views? Maybe not. But you know what? If you're stuck and you feel paralyzed because you don't know what to post, I don't care about you hitting it out of the park with your first post. I need you getting consistent in sharing content. Does that make sense? So done is better than perfect. So in terms of answering that question, it could be like, so many people ask me about X, Y, and Z, or did you know 70% of people struggle with imposter syndrome? Here's a quick, easy thing you can do to solve that. So don't worry about having the perfect opening or the perfect story or wearing a costume or anything like that if that's not you. I would rather see you get consistent and get momentum, and then you can tweak up all of your tactics and strategies on the top end.
So, we were talking backstage, and Marie shared an insight with me, which I thought was really powerful, and it's something I want to have her repeat to you as well. Marie was talking about why she doesn't like always being on Instagram or Facebook, because that can be toxic, and how she separates the work into 2 pieces. Could you share that with the audience, Marie?
Yes, so for context, I believe this is to be true. Do many of you feel like social media drains your energy? Like it's fucking kryptonite? Sorry, I didn't know if that was bad.
Yeah.
Like it's effing kryptonite? Yes, right? Does anyone here feel like it screws with your mental health from time to time?
Everyone in the chat is saying yes, okay. yes.
So I was in a dance class the other day, and I'm surrounded by business owners everywhere, and I'm going to answer this question very specifically, but she's a super successful business owner, and she confessed to me, she said, Marie, she goes, I think I need to take a break from social media. And she's like, it's really messing with my mental health. And this is a very strong entrepreneur, is a very wonderful woman. And I pulled her aside and I said, she's like, but I'm nervous because all of my revenue comes from social. And I said, we're going to be able to fix that for you. So I am the same way as you. I'm extremely sensitive as an energetic being. I'm extremely empathic. And I would say probably 5, maybe 8 years ago, I started feeling a real disconnection in terms of my own time that I was spending on social media and watching the negative impacts. And I was like, this is not good for me. So here's what I do now. I love creating content. I love supporting people and helping them change their lives in any way that I possibly can. But I create all of the things, shoot the videos, script it, whatever I need to do to make that stuff. And then I hand it off to my team, and they do 99.9% of everything else. When there are special DMs, when there are things that really require my presence and my energy, my team lets me know, and then I go in for what I call commando missions, meaning I'm like a little soldier that goes in for a targeted mission. It usually takes me 5 to 6 minutes to do whatever it is, answer that DM, go take a look at this, be with this person, whatever it is, and then I get out. I cannot tell you what a huge difference that has made for me, my own mental well-being, my emotional well-being. And so for anyone in this audience, I would say to you, the fastest that you can have someone help you set up a system like that, it is going to be worth your time and your energy. The other thing is batch create as much as possible. It's probably one of the biggest secrets to why I'm sitting on this stage today, is because over time I've trained myself to do a lot in a short amount of time and then get out. Again, everyone is built differently. I meet some people that like thrive being online and having a phone in their face all day. God bless those people. I am not one of them. So I think that I love that we're having this conversation because I am living proof that you do not have to live your entire life online or have a phone stuck to your face to actually continue to make the difference that you were born to make and to be really effective at social media.
Beautiful. Well, I'm looking at the comments. Eddie is saying, brilliant. Love from India. Tamsin is saying, love this advice, Marie. Now, I'm curious. You're so busy.
Yes.
How do you actually find the time to batch create? Is there a minimum effective dose for how much content to create?
I think that's going to be different based on what stage and season of your business that you're at. So it's also going to be different based on what your ambitions are, right? So for some of us, social media is just a necessary channel that we want to use because we know that's where a lot of eyeballs are. That's where our ideal customers are at. That's one of the things that we want to use in order to get our messages out there and to connect with people. Some people might have the ambition to be an influencer, or, we'll talk about Mr. Beast because he's just incredible and amazing. But if that is your aspiration to be of that stature in that world, the minimum effective dose to getting there is going to look a lot different than if you're someone that's running a local massage therapy practice and you want to be really known in your local area and be able to change lives that way. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's ever a one-size-fits-all answer to that question. I think it really comes back to having total clarity and honesty with yourself about where you are in your business journey, what are your specific dreams and aspirations, and then being able to reverse engineer back into that. Now, it might take a little experimentation. And I would say if you're at the beginning of your journey, you're probably going to need to do more to get what I like to call escape velocity. Sometimes, if you know anything about rockets, it takes a lot of energy for a rocket to get off the ground and to kind of break through until it gets into space. And once it gets into space, then there's a lot more orbit, there's a lot more ease. So if you're just beginning, you do have to do more in the beginning, but once you get momentum and you get consistency, you can often lighten the load a bit.
Beautifully said. So, big question coming in from the audience, okay? And the question that I'm seeing in the chat, and it's coming up frequently, is, okay, but how do I overcome my own imposter syndrome?
Oh, this is a good one. So I do know from the research that up to 70% of us, from time to time, struggle with feeling like a fraud or a fake or that we're going to be found out. One of the easiest and best ways to sidestep that feeling like a fraud or feeling like an imposter, you want to think about it like this. Your attention is like a spotlight, okay? In any given moment, you're either with your spotlight out on your audience, talking to them about their fears, their frustrations, their dreams, and their aspirations, or that spotlight is focused on you and you're like, oh my God, am I good enough? Are they gonna like me? Am I too old and I'm too young? Do I have too many wrinkles? Did I say something stupid? Oh my God. Can't be both at once. So if you want to sidestep imposter syndrome, take that spotlight and have it be directed out. Put all of your attention and energy on the people that you're serving, inspiring, entertaining, making laugh, and let your attention on yourself fade into the background.
They love that response. So when you were starting out, I mean, you obviously, you were just a young 23-year-old coach.
Oh my God, yes. What a hot mess was I. Yes, please.
What were some of the first things you did to start building your incredible fan base?
I think part of it was because I was so insecure. Man, I offered to coach anyone who would allow me to coach them, like my best friends, people that I met. I was bartending at the time, people that I met in the bar. I would coach your pets if you let me. Anything that I could possibly do to grow skills and confidence from a very authentic place to prove mostly to myself that I could actually help people change their lives. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it was like very, very non-scalable. It was very, very one-to-one, hand-to-hand kind of coaching combat. That was the first thing that I did. The other thing that I did well, and this was something that I learned at Coach University, which was the first coach training institute that I knew of in existence kind of before the world of coaching exploded. The one thing they taught me was the fact that if you ever wanted to change potentially thousands or maybe millions of lives, that you couldn't just be a great coach, that you had to also learn how to be a great small business owner. Because you could be the best coach in the world with the best skills, but if you don't know how to attract people to your actual business, you're going to be broke and miserable. In that, I learned about something called email marketing, which was very new at the time. So I was starting to get all of my chops going in the coaching world, and I said, well, I guess this whole email thing is how I'm going to be marketing to these people that I want to change their lives. And that was one of the key pieces of starting to publish content every single week in an email newsletter starting in 2001, and I have never stopped.
Since 2001?
Correct.
Wow. Okay, so this, I think this is a really important point. Email marketing. So social media is all the rage. You all hear about it. And that's because, you know, companies like Meta, like Google, YouTube, they constantly are telling you how important their platform is and why you need to be on their platform. Obviously, they make money off you. But what not enough people talk about is email. Are you building an email list? Because I can tell you this, 50% of our revenue does not come from social media. It comes from the email list. On social media, the algorithm decides if your message is going to go out. Facebook can throttle you, but email, it's going out. You decide what you want to say. And both me and Marie, we built mega email list. Our email list is 2.5 million. Marie, let's talk about that. I want to go back,
yes,
because I think this is of extreme use to people over here. Let's just take a few minutes and let's talk about email. Even though it's not perceived as social media, it is a powerful form of audience building.
It is a powerful form of audience building, and it's still a viable marketing channel if you do it right. And here's what's cool. All the things that we talked about already in terms of your authenticity, right? In terms of you solving problems, in terms of you showing up with that friend filter. Here's what's awesome now. Because there are so many platforms and there's so many different ways to reach people, and people are on all of these different platforms that you can reuse and repurpose, and you should be. Because how many people here, like sometimes you're looking at your email, and sometimes you're looking at YouTube, and sometimes you're looking at social. So email is still really relevant if you do it right. I forgot what you asked me, but I just wanted to emphasize.
I'm curious to know how you think about email. Like, how often do you write to your lists? How do you get people to join your email?
Yes.
How do you go from, say, Instagram to getting an email address?
Oh my gosh, that's some of the most fun things and the fun tools that there are out right now. So for me, I always think about getting everyone back onto the email list. Like, that's where all roads lead back to email, because I want that intimate one-on-one feeling of a conversation. I like to write my emails 99% of the time like they're just a text-based email of me talking to a friend. Does that make sense? And we don't have what's great, as opposed to YouTube, which is awesome, or podcast, or social, of course, which we're talking about now. But it's kind of like being at a really loud rave. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much going on all around you, and people are easily distracted. But when you got them an email, if you know how to write good, compelling copy, it's like you're having a one-on-one conversation, and it's quiet. It's like you're in a nice little corner at a party, and you're just having this kind of situation. So for me, the baseline has always been once a week. That's the cadence that has felt good to me. I have so many brilliant, smart marketing friends, and so many people that run companies and are like, you must email every day. But once again, it comes back to knowing what your goals are. So some of them were trying to build email companies that then they would sell, like a Skim, or there were other kind of daily email newsletter type of businesses. And there's other people who just want to hammer their list every day because that's just the kind of business that they want to build. That's their vibe. It just has never been my vibe. So the way that I think about it is I try and build a business, and whether this is right or wrong, it's just served me, based on how I want to be treated as a customer, how I feel good. And I've liked that once a week cadence. We increase that during launches, but we let people know what's going on. And sometimes if we're running a special 5-day promo, there's going to be 5 emails once a day for 5 days. So I think that there's so many different ways that you can customize it based on what your intention is, and whether it's nurture content or a sales cycle. But from a nurture perspective, it's been once a week.
I see. And that's a really important point. I just want to add one thing that we do, because I see this question coming up. How often should you send emails? when someone signs up to our list, it's 20 emails a month. But you can choose to go from, say, 5 emails a week to 3 emails a week or 1 email a week. It's just an option. So you don't have to you send everyone what they request in their permission settings. So if you feel some of your mega fans might like 5 emails a week, others may want 1 a week. But with any email type service you use, you can set those in the settings. So Marie, when it comes to launches,
yes,
you're well known for your launches. So when Marie does a launch, and she was doing her launch once a year, she would generate 20 million in revenue from her fan base. She would make them wait. She was not perpetually selling. She would make them wait, and then boom, she opens up her program, 20 million. I remember when I saw that, I was blown away. It was so inspiring. Take us through that launch process. How do you go from building an audience to generating revenue?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that was all based on just my desire that I actually just wanted to help people. So this comes back to our program that's called B School, Online Business School, for those who want to make money and change the world. And I remember just understanding the fact that I was just starting out when I built this program, and that I didn't have a huge audience. And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to get other people to talk about this? And it was like, oh, affiliate marketing, and saying, great, if you introduce this offer to your audience, I am happy to pay you half, 50% of what the tuition was, because I know how hard it is to actually build an audience. And I knew how great my product was, but I wanted to reward people that were willing to share about it. And I wanted to do it in a way where they felt good, where everything was just really transparent. So that wasn't born. That whole thing didn't happen because I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to make, $20 million in 2 weeks. It only came about because I was so committed to trying to change as many lives as possible by getting B School exposed to as many lives as possible. And I knew that the way to do that was through having the right partners, having partners where there was a value alignment, where the people who their audience that they've already built had the same type of values in terms of building a business that was rooted in integrity and heart and wanting to actually make a difference and not looking at your customers as just numbers on the bottom of a balance sheet. So all of that came through that one-on-one relationship building. And then we just wanted to have fun. We wanted to have a really great time and change a lot of lives. And I think I was around in a very special moment because at that time, there wasn't a lot of small business education. And even though none of my content was gender specific, because there wasn't a lot of women in the space at that time, it was really beautiful because there was a lot of people like, oh, wow, there's this program and it was created by a woman and there's a bunch of women supporting it. Like, it was really unique and special.
So what was that first hump that you had to overcome to really tell yourself, okay, I'm qualified to teach this?
Yes.
Because you were in your mid-20s when you started.
Yes.
There must have been some self-doubt.
There was like endless self-doubt. I think for me, so much of the growth that I've experienced in my life has come out of failure, pain, and screwing things up. So well before B School, I figured out that in order to reach the financial goals that I had for myself in my personal life, that it was never going to happen teaching and coaching one-on-one. There was obviously a limit to the amount of hours that I could coach people in the day, and there was a limit to the amount of people that I could coach in a week, and you can kind of do the math. And when I learned about going from one-to-one to one-to-many, I did my first group program, which was called Productivity Secrets for Creative Entrepreneurs. And I remember just selling to, I think it was 40 people who said yes, and I was like, what? 40 people said yes? And it was just the most mind-blowing thing in the world. That was all the predecessor to well before we did anything with B School. But I'll tell you this, because I had been teaching personal development for the first really long stretch of my career, I was terrified to start teaching about business. Even though I knew a lot about it, even though I was really good at it, I felt like such a fraud. And I had been coaching and doing these things for like 7 years. But once B School came around, I was terrified again, and I did that spotlight method. I said, either I'm going to sit here like a scaredy little cat and be worried about, oh, what do people think of me? Or I said, I can go out and change some freaking lives. And I took that spotlight and I put it out, and I put all my focus on changing people's lives and tried to take as much attention off of myself as I possibly could. That was the only way I got through it.
So, speaking of courses, how are you leveraging AI right now? Because there are people out there who are saying in this era of AI, people don't want courses anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's really valid. I think it's a very open question. Here's what I see. So one, in terms of B-School, I'm so excited. We were talking about this. Vishen and I were having yogurt together this morning, and we were having a really good time. This is going to be the first year that we have AI built into B-School, so I'm super excited about it because I do believe that it can help us all get through some speed bumps, especially around like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? People have a lot of self-doubt because they can't really see something come to life, and so I think AI can be a real leverage. It can be a real advantage to gaining speed, but what I don't want to see it do is diminish your ability to create and think for yourself. You have to stay really, really smart as we go along. It's just like muscles. It's either use it or lose it. And when it comes to copy, when it comes to ideation, when it comes to using your instincts as an entrepreneur, do not outsource everything to AI. I really believe that with my heart and soul. And I think the brands that are going to win are going to understand how to use AI to amplify their humanity, not dumb it down. So that's one thing. In terms of courses, which was what your question was about, here's what I think. I think now more than ever, it's going to be about being smart, specific, and small, and not general, right? So I think that I was able to hit it out of the park with B-School, and I'm grateful for all that. But moving forward, I think courses are going to work that are very targeted and very specific for people and solving a very specific problem and making them smaller, not bigger.
Thank you, Marie. So as we come to the final 10 minutes of this, what I want to do is I want to take your questions. And I posted a picture of me and Marie having breakfast this morning, and I asked the audience to submit questions on Instagram. So I want to ask you some of the questions that came in from our Instagram audience. Okay, so first, Marilee Luick asks, what is your primary focus? And do you think it's important to pay attention to energy as well?
What's my primary focus, and do I think it's...
On a day-to-day basis.
Oh, okay, great. Personally, I'm coming out of 2.5 years that have probably been the toughest 2.5 years of my life. This is something on the personal side, but it does answer her question. Mm-hmm. It was because a few years ago, I had both of my parents, who, God bless, are still alive, have extraordinary traumatic health crises both at once. So I was thrown in an instant into a caregiver kind of position, and it threw our whole family kind of upside down. So my primary focus right now is actually resetting my own nervous system because it was so dysregulated from all of that. And I know that that's not maybe what that person was expecting the answer to be, but it's just the truth, which is why I'm so excited and happy to be here with you all. What was the second part of her question?
So the second part of the question is it important to work on your energy?
Yes. So perfect follow-up there. Here's the thing. You as a business owner, you are your most important asset in your business. And there's no amount of strategy, there's no amount of tactics, there's no amount of push, and there's honestly no amount of money that's going to make anything better if you're not right with you. If you don't have your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health in a place where you feel really strong. Here's how I think about myself, especially as it relates to social and it relates to the business. And I tell my team this, because I am a personal brand, I am the golden goose, right? The golden goose needs to be protected. And because of the last 2.5 years of what I've been through with my family, I was like, the golden goose, she needs a break. She needs to get her nervous system back in alignment. She needs to make sure that all the systems are set up so that all of the things that I have yet to create can come to life. And they can come to life in a way that isn't at the expense of my soul and my being. So I think energy is really, really important. And this is the other thing, and I feel confident about being able to say this from the position of having done this for 25 years, is pace yourself. Pace yourself. There is enough time. We know that both life is long and short. And I think in many respects, I've watched people burn themselves out because they push so hard, because they want to reach these enormous goals, because they're really coming from a place of fear. And I want you to understand that nothing that is meant for you is ever going to pass by you. So pace yourself. It's okay to take it slow. You're going to get exactly where you need to get to.
The audience here live really loved that response. And even the online audience is saying phenomenal, and people are putting a lot of hearts. Okay, so here's another question, and this is from Riti Jatania. Could you give me one advice to get started for someone to make their first income online?
Oh, to make their first income online. Well, there are so many ways we can tackle this. Like, this is one of those examples where I wish I could have this person right here with me, because as the coach, I'm like, I've got 10 million questions to ask them. So I think really it comes back to, what are you looking to create? Is it about the thrill of having that first amount of money online? Because honestly, you could do that pretty quickly. You know, there's people that have got all kinds of fetishes about feet, and all, so you could be like, hey, do you want to see my feet? Here's $5. And you all that can happen really fast. However, if the answer to what you're really looking to, I love that this one cracked Vishen up. He's like, I did not see that one coming. If the real answer is that you're looking to build a business, or you're looking to validate the possibility that you have an idea for a course or a product or a service, there's going to be a much different answer. I would say, hey, step one might be talk to 100 people who have the kind of problem that you think that you can solve, and help them solve that problem for free, or an aspect of it. So you can talk to people in DMs, you can go to conferences, there's so many different ways, but that would be the most genuine route to understanding how to make money with integrity online, and then building something that has sustainability and that can last.
Now, last question is from Sophia Mooks. As a therapist today, I can't find enough clients. How did Marie do it?
Oh my gosh, I did it hand-to-hand combat when I was like bartending and teaching fitness and doing all these things. Do you guys know I taught striptease classes while I was, yes, I did. I was running around with a feather, but yes, I will take that all day long. For those of you at home, there's someone in the audience just going like this. I'm like, this is one of my favorite moves ever. Anyway, I would pick up clients anywhere that I could find them. So bartending, right? People would be like, oh, so when you're not bartending, are you also an actress? I'm like, I'm a life coach. Here is my mailing list. It was on a yellow legal pad. I'm like, are there any challenges or problems that you really want to work on? Because I bet you I could help you with that. So I would literally go, I was shameless about finding people any place I can find them. And I honestly think that approach still works. There is no shame when you are trying to help people and you have a gift and it could transform their lives. Do not be shy about sharing it.
That's beautiful. Audience online? Stephanie is saying, LOL, cool. Laura is saying, love this content. Vicky is saying, amazing idea. I have really good feet.
Can I just say something really fast? How close are we on time?
We have about 7 minutes.
Okay, great. I want to say that when we were talking about doing this together, and when I was talking about being here, literally, I was like, OMG, there is so much that I have to share and teach that I was really excited. I don't know if we could talk a little bit about social media mastery right now, because all of the questions that we're talking about, some of the struggles that come up, I'm like, I could talk about this for hours. Like, I have so many solutions and so many tactics and so many things that have worked for me that I want to pass on to you. So I'm really honored that I get to teach in Vishen and Mindvalley's program called Social Media Mastery. I just want to say that. So if anyone's like digging on this and you're like, but I want more, I'm like, yes, we're going to dig in so much deeper.
Thank you, Marie. Yeah, just a quick explainer there. So Mindvalley has two different learning models. We have our app. Our app this past year was featured in every Apple store in the world, 200,000 stores. It's one of the foremost apps for learning and development. And on our app, we have a lot of amazing content. But we also have a university called the Mindvalley Academy, mindvalley.com Academy. And one of our most popular programs is a 5-month micro degree where we help entrepreneurs really nail social media. The degree takes off once a year. It's starting in about 2 weeks. Marie and all the other teachers you see on stage are part of the curriculum. So you learn from these incredible minds in a cohesive system, and in 5 months you become a social media superstar. More on that tomorrow. So Marie, what I'd like to do now is I want to ask you some fast questions.
Yes.
Okay? So first one, complete the sentence for our audience. The thing about fear is...
It's never going to leave you. It's a myth that it's going to go away someday when you get 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 or 1 million followers. That shit is going to be with you for life. That's how you know you're alive. So don't try and get rid of it.
Okay, on authenticity, if you had to tweet your philosophy on authentic personal branding, what would that tweet say?
Keep it real and have fun. That's it.
Not bad.
I'm not a big tweeter, but I like it got 7 claps. That's great.
What's one question someone should ask themselves before they post anything?
Are you going to be proud of what you are about to post 20 years from now? And would it be cool if what you're about to post was on the cover of the New York Times?
Ooh.
Because sometimes, listen, y'all know this, right? This is what we were talking about. I know we're going to try and keep it fast. But you can compare yourself, or you see someone go viral for something and they're getting so outrageous or they're crying in the camera, right? And if that's not you, don't do that shit. And here's another big important thing, especially on social, because you know things can get heated from now and again. Do not post when you are emotionally charged. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You could have X amount of likes and hearts and everybody cheering on for what you shared, and you got that one person that comes in hot, and if you're Italian or you're some fiery ethnicity like me, and I'm like, ooh, Jersey Marie's coming out, and somebody's going to get cut. Like, I can hear it and feel it all in there, and you guys know, right? You've seen stuff kind of erupt online. Never, ever post in that state. Never, ever post. Put the keyboard down, put your phone down, go to sleep. But that one thing before you post anything, are you going to be proud of this in 20 years? And would it be okay if this was on the cover of the New York Times? Yes, front page.
Thank you, Marie. So, 2 final questions. You admitted publicly that you have horrible days, and you used the word that I cannot say on stage here, and get mired in fear and self-doubt. For someone watching you right now who's terrified to post their first video or put themselves out, what would you say to them from a place of shared compassion and humanity?
If they were terrified to put their first post out?
And they were just having a miserable day.
Oh my God. Okay. First, I would help them get out of that feeling and that state, and I would have them listen to some incredible music. And because I'm a dancer, I would have them dance and just shake all those vibes off. I guarantee when you change how your body's moving, and especially I think music is a miracle. I think it's such a transformative force. They would be able to create something in a much different energetic state and be really proud to post it.
What's your favorite soundtrack?
That's a really great question.
Is there a Spotify Marie playlist we can subscribe to get your energy?
I feel like I need to create one. Because I am a child, I grew up in the 90s. Like, I just don't think late 90s, early 2000s hip-hop, it doesn't get any better. So I will go back to any of those playlists, and I'm just, like, in a totally different world. I'm like, watch out! So you can search for any of that, but I'll make one for you.
Okay, I'm going to go further. Go-to song to energize you.
The go-tos. You know what one really gets me going sometimes, especially in this context? Do you guys know, let's get down to business. Give me one more night, right? That one? Oh my God. I'm just like, what? Where are my glow sticks? Get something in my hand now.
I love that. Mine is Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On.
Ooh.
Classic. Okay.
I don't know why this is not turning into a social media whole dance
Those
thing.
in the chat, I want you to post your song that picks you up, energizes you. When you hear this song, it brings you back into the right mood. Post it in the chat. And Mindvalley team, can we build a Spotify playlist on this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, final question, Marie.
Yes.
If you could go back in time, okay, and see the Marie who was 23 years old, who was bartending, trying to build her business, having occasional doubts, not knowing what you know right now about social media and branding, what advice would you give this younger version of you?
I would tell her to have so much fun on the ride and to keep going. And any time she felt like she wanted to quit, I would tell her to hang in there because it's going to get better than you could possibly imagine. To let yourself cry and be frustrated and all those things, but as quickly as possible to get right back up and keep going.
Thank you, Marie. Please give a big round of applause to Marie Forleo.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thanks online. Thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you so much, Marie, Vishen, incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you guys for joining us. I love that so much. You know, it's really amazing when we get to hear from somebody like Marie, who Oprah has said this is, you know, one of the greatest new leaders of our thought generation, because you realize that everybody starts somewhere, right? And like she shared, we have fears, we have doubts, but if you can have fun, if you can remember to have faith, if you can remember to be consistent, there's so many amazing things that we learned today, how we can really overcome that vulnerability, how we have these childhood wounds that we have to get over, how we have to decide that we want to be visible. It's a decision. So we have to remember that whatever we're doing in life, it's a choice. It's our decision. We want to be seen. We want to show up. We choose to impact people. We choose to be a light to others. We choose to change people's lives. And once you make that decision, I'm telling you, everything starts to fall into place. Yes, I love that. Thank you. It's a choice. And all of us have that choice inside of us. And when we choose, then we have tools. We have tools, and we learned so many of them today. Tools to overcome our mindset. Tools to grow on LinkedIn. I love how we learned that you can think of LinkedIn just like journaling, just a diary entry. And in doing that, you can share your message with the world. That YouTube has a strategy, that Instagram, all of these amazing ways that we can go viral. And that's something that we're going to talk about tomorrow as well, is how can you go viral, right? How can you understand that there is a proven formula? We saw Brendan Kane talk today, and tomorrow Brendan will be back. And for those of you that aren't familiar, Brendan started in 2007. Could you imagine? And he started working with somebody named Taylor Swift and helped her grow her brand. He's done 60 billion views, generated hundreds of millions of dollars for his clients. He's going to teach us that there actually is a proven model to go viral. And then we're going to have Prince EA in the house. Anybody love Prince? I know! He's so great in person, just as he is online. But I love him. You know why I love him? Because he's a storyteller. And guess what? Every single one of us is a storyteller. And he's found how to express his soul. You know what happens when we express our soul? We don't get sick. Look at the world. There's disease because people aren't sharing their gifts with the world. They're not sharing their light. They're not sharing their heart. They're not sharing their message. And it can be because they're scared or they don't know how. But tomorrow he's going to go over a proven framework, 9 steps, how to build an authentic personal brand. We need that. AI is here. But AI will never, ever come close to the energy that pours out of your soul when you are passionate about talking about something that's here to change the world. You feel me? It can never do that. But you can do that. But you got to be brave. You got to be courageous. You got to be okay to step into the light and let yourself be seen. And then, of course, you got to kind of understand the formula, right? I really believe a lot of times if you're speaking from your heart, you know, the universe is just going to get your back and it's going to be like, the world needs this. Let's blast this. Forget the algorithm, right? The OG's got the algorithm. But I think it really helps to have these tools. So he'll be here. Chris Stowe will be here. I'm excited to hear him because we heard a little bit about this earlier, about how there's these traps when you go viral. Or even you want to copy other people, right? But if you're copying somebody else, then all those gifts that the Creator gave you, you're not sharing those with the world. And so he's going to really talk about how you can stay authentic and how we don't get caught up in the illusions of life, right? The illusion, like, I got to say it just like this person said it. No, you're robbing yourself. So tomorrow is going to be all about how you can go viral. And I want you to remember, yes, this is about going viral. Yes, this is about learning the tools, but you got to know that this is about doing what your soul came to this planet to do. And all of us have a mission. All of us have a light. All of us have something that we have to bring to this world. And that's how we make this a more beautiful place. So for all of you that are joining us online, thank you so much for spending your time with us. We are so grateful. For those of you that are still with me, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your presence. I am so grateful. And I hope that what you learned today, you take it away. And you go bless the world with it. You go share your light with the world, and you go bring it. And I hope also, too, you join us tomorrow, because we're going to be back at the same time here live in Dubai at the Future of the Museum. Museum of the Future. There we go. Can you tell that I'm on a 12-hour jet lag? Thank you for that. Museum of the Future. Here in partnership with 1 billion followers. I'm so grateful to be here with you. My name is Caitlin O'Toole. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I love it, heart love. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m., Dubai time. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you, thank you.